It's been fucking 2 weeks since we've talked about weeks, man. We got a lot of build up. First off, are we all over E3 yet? Have we all calmed down? Have we all had the post fucking E3 hurricane syndrome has died away? Jesus.
Yep.
I've still been trying to catch up here and there on like the actual conference, the post announcements and shit. Trying to watch some gameplay footage here and there, seeing other announcements. I'm still waiting to find that somebody. I don't know. I think Adam, you may be the expert on this, but the 50-minute demo thing that people got to play or got to experience. I wonder if they're ever going to publish that, or if anybody ever got to record that, because I'd love to watch that.
I have not seen any recordings of it. I have seen a bunch of people talking about it.
Yeah,
I know there's at least 4 or 5 different channels I watched that all have different points of view on how it went down.
Yeah, there's been some exhaustive talk about it. Many paragraphs worth of exquisite detail of what they could jot down and recall from memory. But oh man, it'd be nice just to have a little video. Yeah, even months from now, if they want to hold it off,
just a little peek.
It's kind of strange for them to do too.
Yeah, I mean it is strange, but I've gone back and forth with my thoughts on this. I kind of like the idea of them having things like that. I have never been to an E3 conference, never been to any gaming convention type deal, anything like that. And I feel that in the technology age that we live in, I am fortunate that I can watch shit live here from my house. That's awesome. Oh, yeah. But having things there that are like exclusive, especially now with shit being public as well, having shit there that's exclusive that, hey, if you didn't buy the tickets, you didn't get here, you weren't here these 6-7 days, you're not going to get to experience this ever. I'm kind of cool with that. Though it does take away a lot of the, there's, again, 2077 is a perfect example. I would love to have that experience, even to see it. But if that's just something that, 50 people only ever got to experience and that's it, well, maybe I should have took my ass to E3.
Yeah, right.
I get that, it's on the one hand, it's like, man, it really sucks that I didn't get to experience this thing or get to see these pictures or this video and experience it in person. On the other hand, I mean, that leaves enticement there. Because if you think about it, if everything of E3, if literally everything, the pregame, the conversations and press releases between the shows, everything after, if every single thing of E3 was televised and put in documents, I don't really need to go. Everybody's done the work for me. So it's cool.
It's also,
go ahead.
It's also something that they wouldn't really have time to do, as part of the main conference.
Right.
And it also kind of restricts how many people are seeing this and limiting it to people that are in the room. They actually get to see it, discuss it, and we're not watching a trailer or a video going, what's real, what isn't, how does this work, how does that work? These people actually got a, in-depth look at it.
They got to interact with CD Projekt as they were watching the thing go on. Another little cool part of that is like, it's kind of like Christmas presents after E3.
Yeah.
You're like, oh man, I've seen everything.
I totally feel that, man.
But there's a couple of little things that you didn't see.
Man, it's like you're reading my mind, because that's what I think I mentioned this on our actual E3 episode. But again, just to emphasize for the audience out there that doesn't know, even I didn't realize this till like only about 5-6 years ago. When E3 itself is going on, the actual press conferences, that's only part of it. Yes, there are interviews and all that stuff, but that's not even the big bulk of it. The big bulk of it on the other end is the actual like show floor where the companies have these games. They have the trailers live, or better yet, they have the actual gameplay. And sometimes they release there are like drops of games or drops of characters or whatever announced in that section too that are not televised. They're not part of the conferences. So if you feel you go through the first, say, 5 days of the actual E3 conferences and then you're done, there's more content out there after that. There's about 2 or 3 days more worth of stuff out there that's being announced and dropped and experienced firsthand, mainly by the people that are there, the news outlets and even the private sector that are getting to experience these games on hand. It's like, yeah, they talked about 2077 on stage for like 20 minutes, but I was one of the guys that got to play it. And let me tell you about this whole like avenue that I went down, that I found these characters that you may or may not know about. Like that's other stuff that you just don't get to see in the main conference. So stick around after quote unquote E3 is over, because there's still a lot more shit to do.
One of the things I thought was actually really cool about what came out of that was how they talked about the branching dialogue paths.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, you're going to have all these different little decisions, and that to me is what Deus Ex was missing. Mm-hmm. It's like, I felt like I was just walking around in an amusement park, not in a world. You know what I mean? Yeah. I felt like I walk up to this location and a scene kicks off and I have no control over it.
It's going to be interesting to see how CD Projekt Red handles it, and I have hope that it is larger than I'm hoping it will, that I'm thinking it will be. But I think we all three can agree it is a monumental task for a game company, be they action oriented, story oriented, RPG oriented, whatever, to say we have like branching paths and we actually mean it. Like, you're going to start on minute 1, but after 120 hours of gameplay, you, Chris, are going to be so fucking far. Your ending is going to be so far away from Adam's ending. It's indescribable. That is a monumental task for any company to take on. If you look at a company or you look at a game franchise like Mass Effect, Mass Effect is huge. It is big. It has a large, just a forgive the pun, a massive fucking story. But at the end of the day, the three of us, no matter what path we pick, we're going to come to one of the three main conclusions. Yeah. We're going to have pretty much 3 distinct main paths. Adam may have done 20 extra side quests that I didn't do. Chris may have done every fucking story aspect of that game, period. I might have just ran through and just got through the story. Adam may have he may have got the Paragon ending, and me and you may have got the Renegade ending. But at the end of the day, after only a couple playthroughs, we can all pretty much get everything in that game. If what CD Projekt Red is getting at, that this game is so fucking crazy split wide open, it's literally going to be from start to finish. The three of us are going to have 3 radically different games. Yeah. That's awesome. I have faith in them. I have faith, but my mind just explodes thinking about how they're going to do it.
Well, see, the thing is I don't think it's going to be completely in that direction.
That's kind of what I was hearing, but that may be my hope getting the better of me.
What I think, because I mean, it's going to be really hard to tell a story without having a direction for the narrative to follow. Now, it may have radically different conclusions. Instead of having 3 different ways this could end, it might have 16, might have 32, who knows?
Right.
But they're going to follow the same beats up until a point.
Yeah.
One would think.
We shall see. I think we all have good hopes for it.
Yeah, one thing I'm not so sure about, and this isn't this game in particular, but seeing more of the dialogue options being put in games, if it's not done well, it could mess up a good game.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Assassin's Creed is going to be adding them, and I'm slightly concerned. I have faith in them as a franchise, but this is still something new. So I hope they do it well.
It's that genre homogeny that's popping up everywhere, where you got sports games with RPG stats and action games with branching dialogue. Seems like RPGs you can just rip their mechanics and slap them onto any genre and make that genre better.
I think I forget which one of the super best friends said it. I think it may have been Liam, and I agree with this wholeheartedly, especially for RPGs, but there are many genres that have this. RPG has become more of a flavoring than an actual thing, because there are RPG elements in several games today, like be it all of them or just a few of them. And that's fine with me because, man, at the end of the day, a fun game is a fun game. But you wrap me up in a good story, like I'm going to talk about with my week. Holy crap, I'm all in.
Yeah, you can add experience points to Madden, but you can't add a hit stick to Final Fantasy.
Right.
Just throwing that out there.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the end of time. I'm Michael.
I'm Chris.
And I'm Adam.
Holy shit. Let's get into these weeks, gentlemen. It's been a week. Before we do that, Chris or Adam, do we have any actuallys from the last 2 episodes?
Of course not.
No.
Of course not. Why? Because even with three stellar, handsome, awesome, perfect podcast hosts, you guys should know what you're getting. You don't have to worry about emailing us corrections. We've already got it covered.
Well, actually, Squaresoft didn't have an E3 conference. So
you are right.
A trailer.
Holy shit, you are right. Oh, man. So I guess I'll start off with my week. And actually it's going to be a little bit rough / long for these weeks because we're kind of 2 weeks. We didn't even do weeks last because we had an E3 episode. Mm-hmm. But don't worry, I won't be too long. I kind of forget what game I was working on 2 weeks ago, but I feel like I finished it. I was kind of in that weird, well, before I even get into that.
Dynasty Warriors game. That's what it was.
Hyrule Warriors. Okay, yeah. Thank you. Yeah, so I did finally finish the story mode for that. I can tell just by the way that I was playing that game that I took an incredibly long time because I was kind of going in and sort of semi-completing every level every time. Going through the hard levels, getting all the extras that had to be gotten or could be gotten. I beat the main campaign mode, which is called Legend mode, which opened up a harder difficulty, which also opens up a couple new extras that you can only unlock in the hard or the newer harder difficulty. And I'm gonna tell you right now. I made this claim a couple weeks ago when I first mentioned this game, and I think I have severely undercut myself. I think I severely undercalled the depth of this game. So the Legend mode, and again, forgive me because I have to admit, for the Switch, I haven't looked yet. For Hyrule Warriors, I have not looked, but I'm beginning to find it increasingly hard on several platforms, on several games, to actually determine a gameplay time. Mm-hmm. If I had to guess, maybe I put like 70, 80 hours into that, but I feel that might be wrong. I might have put way more than that. But that was just the legendary mode and the legend mode. That was just me going through the main campaign, and in the main campaign getting checking off boxes basically. The other bulk of the game itself is in adventure mode. And that saying that that's the bulk of the game, again, I know I'm saying this a lot, but it's severely undercutting it. That game is fucking huge. There are, so the game, the adventure mode puts you in, I want to say like maybe 12, 13 separate maps. All those maps are divided up into squares like the original Legend of Zelda was. I don't have a number. I don't have the facts in front of me. If I had to guess, you're talking like 20 across and 20 down, something like that. Every one of those squares of the map is an actual game map, just like when you're going through Legend mode. So Legend mode itself is probably only like 1/50th of that game. As you unlock things in story mode and in adventure mode, they kind of cross with each other. You can level up your characters that you do unlock in Legend mode, and when you have to use them or choose to use them in adventure mode, they have their levels, their weapons, etc., etc. I made it probably 15, 20 squares into the first map of that and said, okay, I think I'm good with this for a little while. That is a monumental tasking upon anybody to say they want to complete that game, because there is a fuck ton to do. Every one of those sections of the map, by the way, it's kind of set up like the way adventure mode is set up, Legend mode is set up, where they also have their own individual they have the actual objective that you have to complete. There are extra objectives. There's characters to find, weapons to unlock, etc., etc. If you're the kind of person that wants to go through a game and just have a fuck ton of things to do, this is your game. I hear a lot of people say that what they tend to do is kind of bounce back and forth between adventure mode and legend mode. I was just going through legend mode. I didn't really read that, and I don't play by a specific way. My idea was to go through legend mode first, and then go through adventure mode after. And I was like, I'm kind of good. I need a break. I need a fucking break.
Do you think that with there being that many tiles, that it's actually worth it to keep playing? Are they different enough?
Well, see, that's where they are different enough. I'll give you that. They're different in as much as you will see kind of the same terrains over and over again, but the way that they're set up, the way that the way that things have to be accomplished in the tiles, they're usually different. Dramatically different, not so much, but there's enough variety there to keep you on point.
Well, like mission objectives and stuff like that.
Yeah, the mission objectives, they're usually varying. I mean, if you can go, steps above the rung and look down and say, okay, this is basically a kill the final boss mission. This is a rescue this person mission. This is a escort a person mission. It's kind of like that. But the fact that this is a Muso game and so much shit is happening all at one time, it's frantic. It's not a quiet, peaceful game that gives you a lot of time to go, okay, I'm just doing the same thing. There's dynamic shit involved. The balance, Chris, that I was finding was kind of the same argument I make with RPGs about if I go beat the secret boss ahead of time, when I go back to the main mode and beat the story, it's kind of easy. Because when I take these characters that I've leveled up in legend mode and bring them to adventure mode, I'm kind of overpowering. But that's because I've only done a part of one map. I didn't realize literally until the last day of playing that as you scroll down the maps, when you go down the list of maps to play in adventure mode, they get increasingly harder. So my level 64 Link will fucking wipe the floor on the first 5-6 maps. He's gonna not do shit on the last two. Yeah. And every map is set up differently. Every map has its own theme, basically. And inside those maps, inside the squares, they all have their own objectives to accomplish. So, it is a lot. It is a lot. I have put that game on pause. I don't know for how long. I will say again that I completely got my fun out of that game. I see what the draw of these types of games are. And playing this style of game with a Legend of Zelda flavor coating, it's very nice, very enjoyable. So the week before last was a very rough week in my personal life. I had a lot of shit going on. On the gaming side, my computer fucking shit itself. It was actually shit itself a couple days before last episode, so luckily I got all that fixed. And one of the outcomes of that, one of the reasons for that, is I was going to go play some old Super Nintendo games, and I had the mindset to go play Super Mario World just out of nowhere, and that didn't happen. And I didn't feel like breaking out I thought about breaking my 64 out to play Mario 64. I didn't feel like doing that, so I started playing Mario Odyssey again. Just started a brand new file and ran around the world. It's still fun-ish. I mean, it's still got the Mario charm, and it's something I can go to. I didn't really like dig down too deep with it though. It's become one of my off time / between games, but maybe partially due to E3, maybe just because I know that I started it and I didn't go all the way through it. I went back and jumped back into The Last of Us Remastered.
Oh yeah.
This is for the PlayStation 4. For anybody that doesn't know, it's basically it's the same game. It's just got the DLC already in it, updated graphics, etc., etc. I'm gonna tell both of you, I have come to realize, because this is probably the 4th or 5th time within a year that this fucking problem has happened. I don't want to say quit, but I either pause, stop, or just completely blow off games way too soon. One example. Adam gave me Bad Company 2 years ago, handed it back to him, said, no, I didn't like it. He goes, well, you didn't play the right mode. Play the right mode. And what do you know? I was missing over the whole time. Trying to think of another one real quick, and my brain just shit itself.
Persona 5.
Well,
I mean, you didn't really quit it, but you weren't feeling it.
I wasn't feeling it. Yeah. There we go. Valkyria Chronicles, another game.
Yeah.
I literally, Chris, the level before I got to the camp where I could start recruiting people and leveling people up, I quit at that. I was like, man, I'm just not feeling it. The next level that I was into, I dove in all the way in. So Last of Us comes along, and I made it through several missions of The Last of Us. It was pretty good. Had some cover combat, had some generic shooting, had some stealthy stuff going on. The story was okay. I don't remember what game or games like took that off my radar, but I put it to the side, not angrily, not just bullshit game. Just didn't want to play it. Started picking it back up. Guess what? The first fucking thing in the next section that I came into in The Last of Us, it was actual infected, like actual fucking monsters that I had to fight instead of just humans and humans and humans. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say, Adam, you haven't played The Last of Us at all, have you?
Nope.
Okay, that's fine. Spoiler. So this will be a spoiler-free review for everybody.
Oh, man.
Holy shit. So this is, and again, that was just 3 examples. There have been several times that I have realized in my life where I picked up a game and said, you know what? I'm not really feeling it. I may try it again later. I may come back to it, blah, blah, blah. And then when I do, it's like within 5 minutes, I'm like, oh shit, this game is turned all the way around. The story in this game went from good to holy shit good.
Yep.
The cutscenes in this, man, Chris, I was having God of War vibes like crazy. I can tell that if there are people out there that have played The Last of Us but have never played the new God of War, if you like the again, big quotes, the father-son or the father-daughter aspect, the older guy and young girl aspect of The Last of Us, you're going to get that in God of War. It's just a father and son deal because, man, I was getting those vibes big time. The way that they build Joel as a character, the reason and his backstory relating to how he treats Ellie, the slow build and the slow change over time. All the stories in between the ending, the DLC was okay. I mean, it gave you actual perspective on, on her past and all that. But man, and, Chris,
yeah.
I without looking it up, are there multiple endings to The Last of Us?
I don't think so.
Of? So the ending that you got was the one, okay? Because damn, that shit started getting real fucking deep, and I was questioning things at the end, and oh man, like I agree with you, Joel, but I don't. And he made her say something, and he said it, and I'm sorry, Adam. I hate to like leave you in the dust on this.
But, no, I've already heard about it. It's been ruined for me.
Woo. So, well, even so, just in case, I'd rather keep it blanket quiet. All in all, man, it was good. It does a very good job of balancing the stealth and action. I totally get what people are saying, where it's, you can solid snake your way through almost every area, and you kind of don't want to shoot things because when you do, that makes it worse. Real Splinter Cell vibe with that, by the way. But the story, like, I'm gonna go fucking just watch the Last of Us remastered movie again because I was all in that. Now that I have played this game all the way through, and that includes the DLC, now looking again at the E3 stuff, okay, I don't really see the connections aside from Ellie's there, and Ellie is a badass, but I have a lot of other questions that I don't see any real answers for yet, or any strings attached.
I think they did that on purpose.
Yeah, and that's fine too.
Joel was the guy that got disemboweled.
That Jesus. Oh, Adam, don't fucking do that, man. Come on. God. But the main draw for The Last of Us 2 now for me is just the combat. If watching that whole trailer shit again, the combat itself was pretty visceral and pretty in there, but yeah, I've got questions behind that I want to know. I mean, there's very obvious fucking blatant questions for anybody that's beat that game. But I beat that. I literally actually beat that today. So I've kind of went back to Odyssey for a while. Don't know what I'm going to work on next. As the audience is well aware by now, I'm in a turmoil. I don't know what I'll rest on. We'll just have to see.
Yeah.
We did go. We'll see. We'll see. The wife and I and a whole group of friends went to go see Incredibles 2. It was good. It was had a good time with it. I want to go. I want to see it again to determine where I want to place it. I'll tell you this. I had as much fun with it as I had with the Incredibles, the first one. If I had to rank the two, it's going to be hard to do that because I love Incredibles 1, and I feel like me putting that first is just out of nostalgia. I love that movie. I love it to death. This one, I had a good time. Like, I had a really good time. There was a point in the middle of the movie when a certain scenario went down where I was like, okay, I'm all in now. I really think that was it for, I can't think of any other games. I mean, aside from playing Cooking Mama now and again, there isn't really much else in my weeks. Adam, what about you? What you been up to these past 2 weeks?
I have been going on a trip down memory lane.
Oh, shit.
Yep. It's weird that you brought it up, but I have been playing Valkyria Chronicles here lately.
Oh, yeah?
I went back to beat it again after I heard the new one was coming out.
Mm-hmm. I
was like, yep, let me just go ahead and beat this game all over again while... And, my God, I'd forgotten how utterly unforgiving it can be whenever it wants to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just like, here, let me just be merciless and make you start all the fucking way over.
Chris, I don't know if I've ever asked you before. Have you played Valkyria Chronicles?
Yeah, I started it after you talked about it. I haven't finished it, though.
Ah, that's right. That's right. God, we've been doing this for like 6 years now. It's all a blur.
So how far did you get?
Oh,
I know where to stop.
I'd have to go back and look. I'm past the part where you can start leveling stuff up, and I'd only done a couple after that because I kept trying to do side stuff.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God. It gets to a point where you've got to fight this guy in his tank brigade.
Yep.
And trying to do that without losing any bodies / kill the rare enemy and loot his body or whatever. Yeah. Fucking game.
That was the first mission, Adam, that I had to go back and do a few times. Not because of the difficulty, because I was the fucking perfectionist in me, just as you were just saying, was like, man, so obviously I can't do this. Like my first run in that, oh dude, I got wiped hard.
Oh yeah.
And I understood after like the second or third death how to beat it, like how to get past the sections, but then it became, well no, I'm not gonna let that person die. I'm not gonna let that person die. I'm gonna capture this before this tank gets over there, or I'm gonna stop this tank from. Oh man, I spent way too much time. If I had just said, dude, just beat the fucking level, I could have just beat the level, but I'm like, I'm not losing somebody. I'm not letting that thing happen.
And the thing is, when that game decides it's like time to stop fucking around, it takes the gloves straight off. Yep. I had one scenario. I was like 45 minutes into this fight, had positioned everybody perfectly and finally maneuvered everybody to where they needed to be. I had one guy get caught by like a stray round. Like it's one of those situations where a tank shoots at like a person on foot and they have like a 5% chance of hitting them.
Yep.
Behind cover. Yeah. So it of course tagged him and knocked him out immediately. And I was like, okay, that's cool. I can just go pick him up. Next enemy just runs up and just whittled it right on the ground.
Wow.
So I'm like, okay, you know what? I can deal with one character dying. I'm just going to get past this mission. Over the next 2 turns, not one, not 2, but all 3 of my engineers were systematically killed and murdered. They got knocked out and then KO'd by the enemy. I got to watch the little death animation over and over and over again. It plays that music. Yep. It's like, I can see the light. And they're like, oh, I'm coming home, mama.
Even given all that, I will tell the audience that doesn't know, for one, if you haven't played Valkyria Chronicles, go check it out. When I was playing through those rounds, Adam, not once, I could have, but not once did I pull like the tactic maneuver where I looked at the enemies like movement, their like prepping them before you move. I never had to, but it's all there, guys and gals. Everything you need if you want to strategically and systematically line turns out, it's all there for you. They give you all the tools you need. Yeah.
And then they fuck you with them.
Yep.
They just bend you over and rail you like, oh, you thought you had a handle on this system, didn't you? Mm-hmm. Let me just teach you a lesson in respect. So, between that and play a little bit more Kenshi. Mm-hmm. Got a little, got my little farm going a little bit. One cool thing I'm looking at right now is they've got a new WoW expansion, so I'm kind of getting that itch again.
Is it already out or it's coming out?
It's coming out.
Oh boy.
Yeah, man, we're in that point now. I'm like, oh man, we're starting to scratch, and starting to sweat. Like, if I'm gonna do it, I need to do it soon, so I can be ready for it.
Yeah.
Oh God. So
I mean, hey, Final Fantasy XIV is getting a fucking Monster Hunter monster for a raid. Oh, and by the way, Chris, I found out that Monster Hunter, which we knew this was going to happen, but Monster Hunter is getting a Final Fantasy monster. They're getting a behemoth for a monster to fight. So
gotcha.
that's pretty fucking cool, man.
Yeah, I like these crossovers we're getting.
Yeah, more companies shaking hands.
Like that Star Fox crossing over into that other game. Like that.
So anyway, World of Warcraft, right?
There was and the last thing that I started but have yet to finish is I began updating my Star Citizen Alpha.
Oh, yep. Damn!
It's still not done. So I had every intention of playing some Star Citizen. Star Citizen did not want to be played.
Also, real quick, one quick addition. I don't know why the updating thing just made me remember this, but I've found out that there is an option as well on my PlayStation 4. So one of the cool things that I love about my Switch, I haven't noticed it for any other of these generation consoles, but only the Switch. Mm-hmm. If I have my TV set to another input, like HDMI 1, I'm using my computer on HDMI 1, and my Switch is connected to HDMI 3. When I turn my Switch on via the Switch itself or via the controller wirelessly, when it turns the Switch on, it swaps the connection on my TV automatically for me. So I don't have to change. Basically, I don't have to change channels. The PlayStation 4 has an option as well. For those that don't know, if you go to your system, there's a system link option there, and it does the same thing. When you even if you take your Switch or your PS4 out of sleep mode, just give it a couple seconds, it swaps the connection for you. So,
I saves you 2 seconds.
Exactly.
That's convenience right there.
Fucking nice. I love it.
I need to disable mine.
Oh, you don't like that?
Well, because I have my desk set up for streaming and stuff, so my Xbox will turn itself on to update and completely change my display. And I'm like, okay, now that may completely screw my stream and I have to restart it because sometimes changing inputs doesn't work well.
Yeah.
Frustrating. It's nice when I need it or want it, but I'm not using a setup where I want it right now.
Right.
So, Mike, you've got experience with Final Fantasy 14, right?
Yes.
Okay. You have any experience with ESO or any of the other stuff?
No, the only MMORPGs I've ever played are Phantasy Star Online, Final Fantasy 11, and Final Fantasy 14. That's it.
All right, so because right now I'm at that crossroads. I'm like, you know what? I don't have to go back to WoW. I don't have to, but maybe I should, or maybe I should try. Maybe I should try something else. So I'm just kind of up in the air, man. What can you tell me about Final Fantasy 14?
Final Fantasy 14, and again, anything I'm going to say is not a slight against. I'm just talking from my experience, and given my experience with other people that haven't played the game before. It is definitely very, very easy on newcomers. It understands that even though it's only been out for a few years, that it has a shit ton of story and dungeons and content, and it does a very solid job of stepping you through it. Nowadays, I believe they have options and features like World of Warcraft, where if you don't want to go through 1 through 50 or whatever, they can boost you and it can do all this stuff for you. But from teaching game mechanics to teaching your job to telling you where the story is going, the flow of the story, to teaching you side stuff if you just want to craft, or if you do want to craft, smith, fish, whatever. It has a lot of quality of life easy things to learn.
Cool.
I've had several people that have come through like the free company that I was in. I've had some that were like almost brand spanking new to video gaming, and some that have come from World of Warcraft, and they all pretty much agree that it's if you're just like dumped on the 14, it's a smooth transition. It's a real easy. Hey man, let me show you what we're all about, and not you don't know how to fucking monitor your DPS, blah 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 blah, stat conversion and trigonometry. Get out of here, scrub. It's not like that.
How about you watch your aggro?
Yeah, for real. The progression, the teaching you the jobs as you go, the dungeons do a good job of that. There's quality rating throughout, and there's a fuck ton of content to get to before you ever get to even today's end game content. But when you do get there, whether you boost there or you get there on your own, it's there. And just like in, World of Warcraft, or I would assume any rating style game like that, you have all three options available for you. You have a good, robust, especially it increases as the years go on, a storyline, a campaign to run through. If you only want to do that, you know that every 3 months you're guaranteed to get some more story, more dungeons, more weapons, more armor, more crafting materials, more all that every 3 months on the dot. If you say, you know what, I just like to fish, I just like to craft, I like to do extra stuff, there is a fuck ton there for you to do as well to get better at. And if you are a top end raider, there's top end raids for you to get involved in. The only some of the differences that I see and that I hear about is 14 is not very. I don't know how it is today. I don't know what's changed. They may have a whole integrated system now, but they were very. They frowned on stats like DPS monitors and shit like that. You could use them. It's one of those just don't get caught, but I talked to a lot of raiders, and I never heard anybody getting banned for that shit. I think it's only if you ever made a point to make it a problem. Like if you were literally harassing somebody that, hey, Pug, your DPS is shit, and I think you're shit, and it leads to just harassing, then you're in trouble. But we use DPS monitors in my raid. The raids that I were in used them. It's more of a just keep it to yourself and don't make a fucking issue out of it. That could be different today. It could be.
Square's gonna hear this and ban your ass.
That's fine. I don't play anymore anyway. But yeah, I think for almost anybody's MMO appetite, for almost anybody's MMO content that they're going for, be it super casual, medium tier to super fucking hardcore, it's all there for you. I haven't played them. I've heard you talk about World of Warcraft raids. I get that World of Warcraft raids have more mechanics, but some of the end content that I ran through has a lot of mechanics too, because they're higher difficulties, just like in World of Warcraft. In general, because I don't want to spend 40 minutes, and I could. I really think 14 is a good come on in MMORPG for anybody, really.
That's cool. Chris, did you play any MMOs?
Oh yeah, I've played a few in my day.
Any suggestions?
I couldn't stick to 14. I never played WoW. I tried one of the trials they had, and I got bored immediately with the first few, gathering quests, so I stopped.
Mm-hmm.
I still find myself preferring Final Fantasy 11 over 14. It is one of the more, I don't want to say hardcore, but it does have a more hardcore fan base, I think. The fans tend to be, the people that are still playing after all this time are some of the more hardcore players. There are people that just, hop on and chill, but those aren't as common. So it's a smaller community to deal with. But content-wise and mechanics-wise, I enjoy it more than 14.
That's cool. So that's about the end of my week.
Sure. How likely do you think you're going to go back to that World of Warcraft, man?
Oh man, it's
I mean,
right now,
if the itch is there, man, you might as well
it's
just
looking
commit.
like, dude, I can't even tell you. It's getting hard to ignore. It's like, I gotta find something to do.
Just do it.
And miss that, the thrill of the hunt, I guess, chasing world firsts and stuff like that.
Yep.
Or at least server first. Man, we're nowhere near world first. Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What about you, Chris? What you been up to these past 2 weeks?
Not a whole lot. Talk about some TV stuff first.
Okay.
So I don't know if you guys care, but I've been watching the World Cup. I'm not a big sports person, but I do like watching, big events like this sometimes. In particular, I like watching soccer. It's just one of those things where most soccer you'd want to watch is, football overseas, so the schedules are off and it's harder to watch. But I've been watching the World Cup, and while I was doing that, I was looking for, what channels it was on and stuff so I could actually watch it. And while I got this little thing with my cable provider. It lets you pick your channels, kind of like Sling does, but with the cable provider, it's their competition for Sling at this point. When I went on to see what they had, I saw a Marvel TV show called Cloak and Dagger.
Okay.
And I've never heard of this before. Never seen anything about it. I was like, huh. So I started watching it. There are only 3 episodes out now. This is a brand new series.
Mm-hmm.
So it's odd. I'm not quite sure what to think about it because they haven't gotten to the point where they've really explained, the powers involved and all this stuff. Right now you've got this whole weird dynamic. There are basically 2 main characters, and they have this event that happens together when they're younger, but now they're older when the series is actually, starting. And, they have these awkward interactions, and it's taken 3 episodes. The 4th one that either comes out tonight or tomorrow night will finally be them talking about things, trying to figure stuff out.
Mm-hmm.
So it's way too early in the series to really make a determination of how good it is or not. And I'm really, really trying hard to restrain myself and not go look up the comics it's based on. Because I'm so curious. I'm so lost. I don't understand what's going on.
Right.
And I don't know that's in a good way.
I mean, it's not always a bad thing to have that reference material, and to be able to, I wonder how they're gonna make Uncle Ben die for the 47th time.
Yeah.
And,
Is the interest enough there that to keep you going, or are you getting that fatigue like the fucking Death Stranding, where you're like, I don't know what the fuck's going on. Fuck this.
The next episode will probably make it or break it for me.
Gotcha. Okay.
Because it's only, to be fair, 3 episodes. That's not a lot. Some series, the entire first season is bad.
Yeah.
If it's the 4th episode and we finally get, enough information to be, start getting drawn into this story, because there are some interesting aspects to it. It's not, all bad or anything. It's just not enough information for my liking, especially without having any background. I watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I'm like, okay, I'll wait because I know about S.H.I.E.L.D. I know about, this universe. I know things that, roughly it's based on. So I have a general idea of what to expect. But with this, I'm basically going in blind, even though it has Marvel on it. Never heard of it. Know nothing about it. It's one of those that I guess they decide, hey, we're going to try this, next.
All right. Just out of curiosity, are the names of the main characters Cloak and Dagger?
No.
Okay, thank God.
The only thing... Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say it's related to powers is why the name.
Okay.
Oh. Well, how am I going to say my statement then?
Okay.
Well, fuck it. Now I have to. Damn it. The only relation that I have to Cloak and Dagger is I think it was in the 80s? The 80s movie Cloak and Dagger? And I don't think these two are connected. Who knows? But yeah, I've seen a lot of hype around it. I've seen a lot of social media buzz about it. But I also didn't know that it was not a finished series.
Mm-hmm.
So, man, good luck to you. I hope it plays out good. If it's interesting, I'll check it out when it's done.
Yeah. Yeah, if I knew it wasn't done, I probably wouldn't have started it. But it was like, okay, 2 episodes. I'm like, oh. And it's like, oh, third one premieres tonight. I was like, oh, well, I guess I'll watch the third one tonight.
It could be worse.
Jump on that.
It could be worse. You could have got Bleached, where I watched 270 something episodes and go, there is no way this is close to being done. And then it's like, oh, it's not done. It's still in. Fuck.
Yeah. But yeah, other than that, I've been watching the World Cup. That's been a lot of my time when I'm not, able to play games or stuff. And that's really during the day while I'm working anyway. So I usually have it on in the background. It's been a lot of high and lows in the World Cup. Some games are just absolutely terrible, which you wouldn't expect at this tier of play. And then others are really, really good,
Mm-hmm.
It's been a roller coaster. I'm not invested in any teams. The United States didn't even make it this year.
Oh, wow.
RIP.
Yeah. It's funny. There are a bunch of commercials for Volkswagen where they say, sorry, America, that you didn't make it, but hey, support our team. And, it has like Iceland, Germany, and I think there's 4 teams total. And each of them is some funny, thing. Brazil's one of the others, and then Belgium. They're hilarious commercials. It's just something to watch. It's been kind of fun.
So it's like the international Super Bowl where they put their best commercials up.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Well, I keep seeing the same commercial, so it's not quite, Super Bowl type stuff. The commercials that I've seen, this particular series of commercials are pretty funny. I've enjoyed them.
My radar was on there for a second and keyed in, and then you just turned it right off.
Sorry. Didn't mean to give you false hope. So, on the gaming side, I mentioned last week that I picked up Jurassic World Evolution.
Uh-huh.
And man, a lot of people don't like that game.
Really?
Yeah,
really?
I was looking online and, listening to people talk about it as part of E3 and stuff, and people are just basically shitting all over it.
Wow.
But I've seen lots of people, streaming and playing it and enjoying it. I enjoyed it. I haven't beat it yet, but I've got 21 hours in the game. I'm probably 3/5 done with it.
Mm-hmm.
Because there are 5 story islands and then a sandbox island you unlock. And I've completed 3 of the islands. I started the 4, but I didn't really do any work on it yet. I just kind of loaded it and then I was done for the day. So I've got 3 out of 5 main islands done, and I technically completed the sandbox by getting 5 stars.
Right.
So Jurassic World Evolution is a simulation game where you are building your dinosaur park. You incubate dinosaur eggs for the species you want. You mess with their DNA. You have to do expeditions to gather fossils to get more DNA to increase their genome viability. So that gives you better odds of them successfully, being incubated. And also, the higher your genome percentage, the more changes you can make to their DNA. So, like, you can take pretty much any dinosaur and you can make it super aggressive. Or you could make it super resilient to disease, or, tougher in general, or something like, or, focus on their lifespan. Some of the changes there are cosmetic changes that just make it look different. So your visitors like that more because it's different. It's not just a boring dinosaur, because dinosaurs are totally boring, as is.
Yeah, right.
You got to give them camouflage and, savanna patterns to make them more appealing. But yeah, so you can do all these things. It's not. I don't think it's a bad game. I talked about this a little bit before. There are things that could be better, and based on what I'm reading, the devs have said, yeah, we realize that we're going to make it better. I think if there are any major flaws with this game, it's because they were rushing it to meet the new movie launch date.
Yeah.
But now that they've met that, I think it'll get better. But like I said, I don't think it's a bad game by any means right now. I don't get all the hate for it. I think a lot of people compare it to... There's another sim game by the same company. It's another theme park one. I can't remember what the name of it is. But it's not a theme park game. It's dinosaurs. They sit in the cages, or the fences and closures, and that's what they do. You can make them fight if you want, putting predators with prey, but that's not really, beyond that, there's not really much to it. I mean, I don't know. I think it gets a lot of unnecessary hate at this point, but I'll keep playing it, and I'll be happy to see them make improvements to it. It'll be even better.
Yeah. Is there the way you're playing it now? Is it solely like a campaign style version, or? So
go ahead. The way it works is you start out with one island unlocked, and your objective is to build the park on that island, and you have a rating via stars that is 0 to 5 stars. 5 stars is considered maxing out the island. As far as rating goes. Now, there are also 3 factions you deal with overall. Science, entertainment, and security. You have to do objectives for each one and keep them balanced and try to make them all happy, as you go through. The higher your relationship with them is, the more stuff you unlock. And if you get out of balance, the neglected faction will actually start sabotaging your park.
Wow.
So they'll start sabotaging your power plants. They'll open dinosaur gates, all these things to cause havoc because you're not giving them enough attention.
My interest meter just went up.
It takes quite a bit for that to actually happen, in my experience.
Yeah.
There are some scripted times it happens when you're going through the kind of story missions. And that's not a big deal. It's like, oh, you have to do this, and they complicate it by throwing in a sabotage, but it's not really one of the factions. It's just going to happen every time. You fail the mission, you do it again, it happens again, So it's not like it's random. I've only had it once because I had a stupid mission for one of the factions, and the other 2 kept giving me easy stuff. So I was like, oops. And all I did was sabotage my power plant. So I just drove around in my Jeep and rebooted them, which is, by the way, you can zoom in on your park rangers and take control of the Jeep. You can take control of the tranquilizers and the helicopters. You can do all this stuff yourself. So you're not just like watching it happen. You can literally take it and start firing because they're going slow or something. Sometimes you can't give commands to your rangers because the power is out because of a storm or something. So you literally have to go manually take control and do what you need to do to get them back up. And then you can start issuing them commands.
Huh. Can you ram the T-Rex with a Jeep or something like that?
So you can run into them, but it's more they run into you. Right now, there isn't any damage to the Jeep, but if certain dinosaurs will run at it, and you will flip over and it takes you out of control of the Jeep because it's just going crazy.
Wow.
So it's entertaining. Yeah, like I said, I've maxed out 3 of the story islands, and each of the islands has some condition to it that you're trying to recover from. The first one is just kind of normal. It's like, yeah, this is a park, you know, or this is an island we want to park on. I don't think you even start with anything but your money. Maybe a power plant and some roads. The second, it's like this island suffers from extreme storms, so you need a lot of shelters. And you need to actually, you know, call people into the shelters when a storm is coming so that, you know, they're safe. And you also have these shelters. You call them in not only for the storms, but if a dinosaur gets loose, you can say, all right, everybody to shelters while I go tranquilize this thing and get back in its cage. Because they'll get unhappy, they'll break their fences, and they'll escape and start attacking people. Even the herbivores will trample people, just running away and stuff.
Right.
Have you ever let it just descend into chaos to see what would happen?
I sort of did that on the Sandbox Island because I didn't really care and I was going for achievements. Because it's actually a achievement for taking a picture of a carnivore eating a park goer.
That's awesome.
So I let that happen, took the picture. I still need to do the one where a herbivore kills someone, which I don't know if the trample is all that I need or if there's actually another animation I haven't seen yet. But I still need that achievement. So I'll probably go back to Sandbox at some point and open the gates and hop in the Jeep. And because you have to be on the Jeep to take a picture. So you're literally a park ranger taking pictures of this dinosaur doing whatever mayhem. Yeah. So many good mechanics. But like I said, I don't know why I get so much hate right now.
Sounds like an evil version of Theme Park. Mixed with...
I mean, only if you play it like that.
I always made
the potential's there.
I always made the roller coasters like end in death. So
Sure. You would. I'm not surprised in the least.
Oh, don't be.
So, other than that, after getting where I was on that, I had played probably too long because there's a new Destiny 2 DLC coming out. So much like Adam and his WoW, you know, wanting to get prepared. It's like, all right, I guess I'm loading up Destiny 2 so I can get caught up. So I played it. I want to say it was Sunday. I got a good 4 hours in, did all my weekly milestones, went from 350 to 356 light, which was a pretty good jump, or power, whatever it is now. And it was a pretty good time. This is better than usual. The PvP seemed to go quicker, but I also did much better than normal. I started out thinking it was going to be bad because I had like a 0.8 KDA, and I was last on my team, or I was on a bad team and stuff, and it's like, oh man. But then the next game I had like a 3-point-something KDA with a 12 kill streak. So I was like, all right, it's just a bad start. So I had a really good day.
Find any interesting new mechanics or anything like that?
No, I mean, the DLC isn't out yet, so nothing's changed. Well, there is a mechanic that I'm not familiar with yet that I was reading about that I'm going to have to go start doing, but I need some more power first. So I need
you got something you're working up to.
Yeah, and at that point, it sounds like it gets easier. It sounds like it's something that you can repeat at least a little bit more to do. Because right now, really the only way, once you get to the point I'm at, or I think it's like 345, once you get there, you only have certain ways to raise your power every week. And I'm still not doing the raid. I probably won't do it until I get much higher because I don't care for the raid that they did. Its mechanics are okay, but I couldn't sit through it, force my way through it. So I'll wait till I'm higher level and can brute force, my way through it pretty easily with a pickup group. But yeah, I mean, it's such a struggle because I like it as a game. I like the mechanics. I like the feel of the guns. Destiny 2 feels like a great game for me. It just can't keep me there right now. This week is Iron Banner, which is one of the PvP events that happens every few weeks now. So I'll probably be playing that. It is Control, which is, basically King of the Hill, capture the flag type thing. More King of the Hill. Maintaining control of zones. And that's fun. That's one of my favorite modes to play. So hopefully that'll give me some power and I'll enjoy myself while I'm doing it. Otherwise, it's a bit of a grind just waiting for the DLC, which I still have high hopes for, even though they did a stupid thing with the story. But, yeah.
Good luck, man.
Yeah, it's one of those things.
Yup. So,
anything else for your week?
Nope.
Go ahead, Adam. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was looking at it, and one of the things I didn't mention about the WoW is apparently they got rid of BattleNet at some point while I was gone.
Yeah,
which is like a huge thing for Blizzard. Had like all their games on it.
Mm-hmm.
And I hadn't looked at it since I left, and I was like, "Whoa, what happened to BattleNet?"
Yeah,
I mean, when did that go away?
Sometime between when I quit and now. I went and checked it yesterday, just kind of perusing, and I noticed that, I couldn't even upload the latest patches for this expansion before the next one came out. I was like, oh, well.
Well, was that only for WoW you're talking about?
No, BattleNet was Diablo.
Right, but that's not on there anymore because Destiny's on BattleNet.
Really? Battle.net?
Yeah.
Huh. Well, I'll have to check because I couldn't find it.
Maybe it was only Blizzard's end that they did it. Maybe they left. I don't know. I haven't touched BattleNet stuff in years and years and years. I didn't even play fucking StarCraft 2 on BattleNet, so I'm old man tier. Well, gentlemen, any pertinent news that came up before we roll into the topic of the week? Besides fucking everything in the world with E3.
They put out a demo of Star Citizen single player.
Oh shit.
Some actual gameplay footage. You could see what's that one guy that plays the Onion Knight on Game of Thrones?
I know. I don't know.
You know who I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know you're talking about. Yeah.
The guy that's like, oh, Stannis is a good man.
Yeah.
He cut off my hand for some reason, but I still like him. And him and Mark Hamill are talking on the bridge of some ship, and some cool stuff's going on. You get to talk. He talks to like some engineer, and the engineer explains how the engine works. And it's basically just a big demo of people walking around talking to this guy. Looked really interesting. Looked really, really interesting.
Yeah.
So it's got me hyped for the single player. Because up until now, I've only seen the multiplayer stuff. Or the stuff that would be while you're still interacting with the rest of the universe. You might be doing your own thing single player, but, other players are still there. This is the campaign.
Mm-hmm.
So it's amazing. Amazing.
Yeah. That's good, man.
The
go ahead, Chris.
The only other thing really E3 related, I had taken note during something I was watching, or I think actually I read about Halo Infinite, because I was asking a lot of questions last time about it. Apparently it is a direct sequel, so it's not out of the timeline like I thought. and it's focusing on Master Chief because of fan feedback.
Mm-hmm.
So they're backing off from the, split between the new guy and Master Chief, and they're going back. I don't know if it's solely to Master Chief, but they're focusing more on him because the fans, didn't like it.
Right.
Thought that was interesting.
The only news thing I came across, it actually came across my Facebook feed, and I had 17 fucking rage attacks, but we'll save it for one of our future episodes, was that the World Health Organization has classified gaming disorder as a mental health condition. Yeah, we'll get into that. We'll get into that in the future, folks. Anybody curious about our thoughts on nerd culture and gaming as a hobby and et cetera, because I'm pretty sure all three of us got something to say about it.
Mental Health Awareness Cast confirmed.
Yep. All right, well then, without further ado, let's roll into the topic for this week. Getting a little bit back on track with our somewhat sort of fly by the seat of our pants schedule. Today, we are doing the End of Time Cast's Game of the Year, and this year will be 1992. Now, you have to bear with us for this one, folks, because we have three people that are going to be discussing this maybe a little bit longer, but I don't think it will be. Looking at a consolidated list of all the games we put on, we've got about 17 games to talk about, and we're going to rank them and eventually come out with our group decision for what we think is the End of Time Cast Game of the Year for 1992. Looking at the list, it's kind of in some order-ish. I'm just going to pick a random game. Let's just go ahead and pick Mega Man 5. I don't know why I picked that one first. I just decided to pick that one first.
You picked Mega Man? Imagine that.
Yeah. So we got Mega Man 5 just on the list.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you had something. I'm sorry.
No.
So, Mega Man 5, I can tell you now, just looking at the list that we have, I don't think this is going to make our Game of the Year, but I felt it deserved to be somewhere in recognition, which is fine. That's what we have these lists for. Just looking at the games in 1992, there was a Mega Man game there, fortunately. That we'll have too many more years of that down the road, so I put them in where I can get them in. So let's just pick a random one. Let's say Wolfenstein 3D. Before we discuss it,
3D.
Before we discuss it, where do we feel this game goes? Do we feel it's above Mega Man 5 or below Mega Man 5?
I'd say below.
Yeah.
You know what? I guess I'm going to agree with my gentleman here. I was going to say... was definitely going to say above, given the idea of what first person shooter has brought to the table, and this being such a sort of the monumental peak for it in this style. I don't know when Wolfenstein went from the classic Doom look to the updated version 3D look, but I think Wolfenstein 3D is pretty up there with the Doom equivalents.
Yeah, it was a Doom clone at the time, and it if I remember correctly, it only had like 3 levels.
Yeah. Oh, you know
what? The last one, you got to kill Hitler, and how many games can you say you get to kill Hitler in? Just saying.
Let's just see how many times we can reference E3 in this episode, gentlemen. But I remember when they were talking about Wolfenstein, the newest whatever it's going to be at this E3, they were like, They said something like, gives you another reason to spread the word about killing fucking Nazis, and I love that.
Mm-hmm.
I love how they lean full forward into that kill Nazis appeal.
Yeah.
All right, that's all right. So we got Mega Man 5 and then Wolfenstein 3D below it. Let's go with Lunar, so the Silver Star. I kind of feel I know where this one's going, but gentlemen, where do we agree this goes? Do we think it's better or worse than Wolfenstein 3D?
Better.
I'm guessing Mega Man 5 as well, huh?
Yes.
Now I'm gonna say that I'm not gonna be the asshole. I can agree. It's an RPG. You're going to get more content out of it, whether I agree with the content or like the content or not. And Lunar has its own little legacy to go with, just like Mega Man. It's just in a whole different vein. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm I'm okay with making Mega Man succeed to that. Man, we're fucking flying already. Let's go with Star Trek, the 25th anniversary. I have nothing for this one, so I'm gonna kind of defer to.
Oh yeah, this is like probably the best Star Trek game that I have played outside of the PC.
Okay,
and
tell
us
about
on
it. What
NES of all things.
Really?
And, yeah. And, the cool thing about this was, everything had little cutscenes. So, you start off and it's like, oh, well, we need some dilithium crystals or whatever. Because it's like literally the only plot line the original Star Trek liked to go with. It's like, oh, well, we need some more since we don't carry any spares or anything like that, but we just so happen to be near a planet that has some. Yeah. So you go down to the bottom and you find out that some of your stuff doesn't work, so you can't get back, and you walk through the swamp, you find these little flowers that shoot like phasers. So you pick the flowers and walk around shooting those at enemies and dodging leeches and stuff like that. And the entire time they're having little Star Trek-like conversations the entire time. Really good game. It was a 3/4 isometric view. So it wasn't like it was a side scroller or platform or anything like that, but you basically just walk around and you'd go meet this witch doctor and he says, I want 3 of these and 4 of these, and then he opens up the next area and you go into there and you start, basically doing fetch quests for the NPCs. But as far as Star Trek games go, cream of the crop right there, especially for the NES.
Yeah. I'm seeing all the other platforms. It was also a DOS and we got DOS, Linux, Macintosh operating system. Yeah, Nintendo stands out to me, and I'm seeing the King of the Hill graphics for the NES version. But yeah, I see the pseudo adventure aspect to it as well. Well, I'm assuming that Adam put this one on the list. So Adam, where do you think that goes, above or below Wolfenstein?
Right at the bottom.
Right at the Jesus.
I mean, it's a good game, but it wasn't no Wolfenstein 3D.
Okay.
I'm not gonna lie.
That just automatically made it on the list.
Top of the Star Trek heap, bottom of the rest of it.
Okay.
Alrighty.
Well, there it is. All right. Let's make some more thought material into this. Mortal Kombat. This will be the first in this whole Mortal Kombat lineage. This one, now I think we discussed this on the year and I have forgotten. Was this the arcade version or did they happen to come out the same year? Let's go
that's
double
a good
check
question.
that. Let's go check that out right now. But yes, that's on the list, and we're gonna see where we're going to put this on the list. So the original Mortal Kombat
arcade
that came out in 1992 was the arcade version. It came out in October and then was released sometime later.
The next year.
All right, well that's fine by me, because this isn't a console only game of the year. It's for game of the year period. And I'm understanding of this being on the list because this is a fucking phenomenon happening right here. This is the first of a phenomenon. This was one of the earlier games like Doom that really struck a strong public fire with this whole video game violence and, is it too far, et cetera, et cetera. Outside of that, the game itself, it's pretty good. It fit smaller roster than Street Fighter 2 had at the time. I think they may be on like the championship edition by this point, but all the characters had their own style. The whole game has its own flavor that's vastly different from Street Fighter.
Yeah,
they use live actors instead of pixel art. So
I don't think
Mortal Kombat different look than anything else I can think of that was out around the time.
It's been so long. I don't know if the first Mortal Kombat had combos or not. I do know combos were introduced, but I don't know if that was the second or third one.
Do something, uppercut.
Yeah. Sweep, sweep, sweep,
Infinite
punch some
combo.
buttons. Hope you got the fatality right. Oh, you didn't. You just punched them in the face. You won anyway. Knocking enemies through different aspects of the level, like being on the level that had the walkway where when you uppercut them in the fatality, they would fall down and hit the spikes underneath, stuff like that. Yeah, the pit. Yeah. And these traditions in Mortal Kombat were subsequently carried throughout the series. You had more characters, which meant more fatalities. You had the combo system brought in, more stage interaction, more types of fatalities, more different ways to kill the characters off. And I mean, it's a fucking engine even to this day. The last Mortal Kombat that I really gave a fuck about, like really hardcore, was Mortal Kombat X, because they went like the Injustice route of we're gonna retcon the series, but give it a really good in-depth story. A lot of people don't care for the story because it is what it is, but in my life, it's really about the only thing I care about in those games, which is, again, why I like Injustice 2 so much. We're not talking about Injustice 2 today, though. We're talking about Mortal Kombat. I think we can all agree this deserves to be somewhere on the list. We just got to figure out where. Do we... I'm going to guess that it's going to go above Star Trek. Yeah, sounds like a plan.
You could just assume everything else does.
Okay. What about Wolfenstein 3D? Do we think it's better or worse than that game?
I would say better.
Yeah, better. I would go with better.
Chris or Adam, one of you two, do me a favor while we're going over this. Find out how many levels were in Wolfenstein 3D, because that's kind of a crucial point for me. There were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's like 8 or 9 characters in Mortal Kombat, and even that is enough for me to think that that's a little bit more depth there involved in the Wolfenstein. Now, I'm assuming also Wolfenstein 3D or Wolfenstein period, did it not have like co-op? Was there LAN capabilities with that game? Because the multiplayer aspect as well will kind of weigh up against Mortal Kombat, because while Mortal Kombat has a single player storyline, so to speak, per character, the multiplayer is where this game is. Like, you don't go to an arcade to experience Liu Kang's story. You go to the arcade to put your quarters on the bar and hopefully beat some 6-year-old kid. If Wolfenstein 3D has a multiplayer aspect, I would think, just like Call of Duty or any other shooter, that's where you're going to get a bulk of your play at. I'll be blunt and honest. I've never played Wolfenstein 3D. I think I played a Wolfenstein sometime in my high school years for like 10 minutes. I've played the newer Wolfensteins. I played both of them, but I don't have a whole lot of knowledge with the original ones, specifically Wolfenstein 3D. I have played Mortal Kombat multiple times. I kind of feel like I feel better putting Wolfenstein below Mortal Kombat. I kind of feel that's where that's leaning.
Yeah, that's about where I would put it. I'd put it at least above. I'd put it above Wolfenstein, if you ask me.
Yeah.
I remember there being 3 named things. I remember the last one was Hitler. That's all I can remember about the game.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah, based on what I was looking up, it looks like there was 3 quote-unquote episodes, and each of those had like 10 floors to it, so you just go through the floor up, and they're kind of
the boss.
And they're kind of 3 main levels, so to speak.
Kind of like Doom. I think Doom did that too. It had like 3 or 4 different areas, and then every area had levels in it. I mean, even given that, I feel like Doom would probably have a better one-on-one fight with Mortal Kombat than Wolfenstein.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if anything, even if you take our 3 opinions out of the mix, if you were to look at all 3 of these together, Doom made a fucking world impact for all its negativity. Mortal Kombat did as well. Wolfenstein kind of was the other one that people talked about. You know, it wasn't the main one. So I'm as well cool with Chris. You cool with that? Mortal Kombat above Wolfenstein?
Yep.
What about Mega Man? Do we want to keep it where it is? Do we think it's better or worse than Mega Man?
I'd say keep it right where it is.
Yeah, I can go with that.
And I could make an argument the other way, but I'm not going to because that puts Mega Man on top of Mortal Kombat, and that's cool with me. So currently from the bottom of the list, we got Star Trek 25th Anniversary, Wolfenstein 3D, Mortal Kombat, Mega Man 5, and Lunar the Silver Star. How about Streets of Rage 2? Another one that I have not played, so I'm going to defer to the gentleman of the house to add some flavor to Streets of Rage 2.
I was surprised to see Adam put this on the list.
You didn't like Streets of Rage 2?
So, I don't know if you listened to the episodes where we talked about it, but I actually went back and played 1, 2, and 3 because people kept saying 2, or Michael had mentioned that someone said 2 was better. 3 is the best of them. 2 was not good.
You didn't like it?
Mechanically,
I may be going off nostalgia here.
Which is totally fine.
Because I have not played this game in the last 2 decades.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It was, I can actually go back to my notes. I believe it was overly complicated, as far as overly difficult rather. Bosses were ridiculous. I had to use super to even damage them on a lot of the later ones. Or I say later, I mean like level 2 and 3. You know, I think I got through the first level okay, and then after that, the difficulty just ramped up to where it was absurd, and I was literally dying to damage the boss.
Wow.
And overall, the mechanic changes weren't as good as they ended up with in 3.
So it's trying to steal your quarters.
Yeah.
Even so, the good thing about it, even if you don't think it's the better of the Streets of Rage, luckily for it, it's not here to fight the other ones. It's here to fight for Game of the Year. So what other things can you tell us? I hear you totally. What else can you tell us about Streets of Rage 2, Adam?
Your typical arcade beat 'em up. It was one of the better ones for home console. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to compare it to any, because I'm looking back through rose-tinted glasses. I had a lot of fun with these games back in the day. But, you know, I remember going around, you know, tossing one enemy into another enemy and doing the special moves and stuff like that. To me, it seemed like a very good alternative to what's the other one with Hagar? Final Fight?
I was about to say Final Fight. Is that it?
Yeah. It was Sega's answer to Final Fight.
Yeah, Final Fight.
So that, I mean, it was almost a direct ripoff of Final Fight, to be totally honest with you.
Yeah. At that point it was pretty similar.
Yeah, I can remember seeing that in the arcades, and then, you know, I found a Genesis game that was, you know, very similar. I was like, yep, I'm snagging this. So.
All right. Well, with all that being said, where do we think it plays with Wolfenstein 3D? Do you feel it's better or worse? Above it or below it? Worse than Wolfenstein 3D. Wow. Well, the fact that I've never played it and Chris says he doesn't like it much compared to the other ones, I think I'm also comfortable leaving that right underneath Wolfenstein 3D. That's where you belong.
Even if it was above Wolfenstein 3D, it wouldn't be above Mortal Kombat, so it doesn't really matter at that point.
Yeah, I completely agree. All right, so moving on the list, Hugo the Third, Jungle of Doom.
Wow. Yes.
I've never heard of this game, so I definitely can't speak on it.
These are some awesome games. All right.
Oh, okay. So we know who's. I love this. So we know whose this one is. Adam, the floor is yours.
We are on into my weird shit list.
I promise you that on my end and Chris's end, we will listen and we will hear you. And if we feel you've given enough argument and we feel that it deserves to go somewhere up, we're not going to shit on it because we haven't played it. That goes for any game.
All right. This is, imagine a point and click adventure game that takes the mouse away from you.
What?
Yeah.
So then how do you point or click?
You write stuff in a box and he decides whether or not to do it. That's what the Hugo series was.
He decides whether he's going to do it or not.
Yeah, that's right. If you write some gibberish in there, he's like, nah, I don't understand what you want. You're like, pick up the glass. And he's like, fuck you. I do too.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Okay, I got 1 foot in. I got one foot in.
All right. So
with a mind of its own, I'm kind of in.
This was, I believe, the 3rd in the series.
Okay.
And you basically played this guy. His named Hugo, and he's not really anything special. But his girlfriend Penelope keeps getting kidnapped. And you're supposed to go out and you find her. Imagine, have you ever played Maniac Mansion?
I have not. No. I think me and Chris used to play. I don't know if it's like it. What was the one we played? The Haunter? Remember the one, Chris, we played on the Genesis?
God. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, you played as a guy that could basically, he was a ghost or whatever. He could inhabit things and then scare people with them. I don't know. I don't even know if that's like Maniac Mansion. I may be completely wrong.
Well, so you start off. I believe this one you start off inside a cell, and there's this witch doctor, and he's walking around. He's like mixing up the stuff, getting ready to like rip your heart out or paralyze you or something. Okay, and so you have to figure out how to get out of this cage before this witch doctor kills you. In the 3rd game, they just pull out all the stops, and it took me 6 months to figure out how to get out of this fucking cage with no guide, no internet.
Wow.
Oh yeah. And this is after I beat the first 2 games, which are pretty freaking hard in the first place. Mm-hmm. Turned out you had to like kill a rat, and then you threw the rat at this shelf, and then the thing rolled down, and the witch doctor would want the thing that you grabbed from off the shelf, and you'd open it, and then you could clock him with it, and then lock him in the cage. And then that was the end of the first scene. There were like 4 or 5 scenes where you had to figure out all these elaborate things, and you type open drawer, and you'd be like, which drawer? And you'd be like, open the left drawer. And you'd be like, okay, I open the left drawer. Look in the left drawer. Okay, I see a pair of shoes or a key or whatever. And so it's all about trial and error and figuring out little things that you could do to advance yourself a little bit. Mm-hmm. You know, I think you could actually pick this up as freeware by now. It's probably abandonware. But back in the day, this game provided hours of just, puzzle solving gameplay, especially before the internet was there and you couldn't just go, okay, well, let me just Google this shit so I can get past it. Yeah. No, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, well, I wonder if I try to do this.
Mm-hmm. Well, it sounds interesting. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. So that's Hugo. That's the Hugo series, and this was the 3rd and final, I want to say. It was the last one I played.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, even if it's old school, it's something that new school games could take a lesson from that I'd love to see incorporated more, and especially elaborative ways of doing it, is the whole, hey, I'm here, what should I do? And you have to tell them what to do via point and click, select an option, whatever. And it's not just, hey, if you click this one button, I'm going to do these next 300 things. It's, hey, I need to know you kind of got to baby me. I like that idea because it's a balance. On the one hand, it's the pain in the ass because you're like, I need you to do this specific thing, but I got to tell you 5 different things to get there. On the other hand, the hilarity that can ensue if it's given to the right writers and the right studio, the right company, could make it better. You may die in some stupid way, or you may bring back a fucking banana peel when you're trying to load a gun. Like, it could be good. It could be good. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, since this game and every other game is better than Star Trek: The 25th Anniversary, do you think it's better or worse than Streets of Rage 2?
Oh man, as far as the enjoyment I got out of it, it was better.
Yeah, I'm going to say just from hearing what you're telling me and the options that can come to mind, I'm feeling better. Definitely feeling better. What about Wolfenstein 3D? Better or worse?
Wouldn't go that far.
Oh, really? Okay.
I mean, it was a good game. It really was, but I don't think it's everybody's cup of tea. And it probably wouldn't have the general appeal that Wolfenstein did.
Gotcha. All right. Well, then, I'm in agreement. Sounds good to me.
Yep.
So from the bottom up, we get Star Trek 25th Anniversary, Streets of Rage 2, Hugo 3rd, Jungle of Doom, Wolfenstein 3D, Mortal Kombat, Mega Man 5, and Lunar is at the top of the heap. May or may not be there this whole time. We shall see. Next, pulling a random game. How about Biohazard Battle? Biohazard Battle. I don't know if Adam's ever played this.
I have not.
Sega Genesis shmup. So this is probably going to be between me and Chris.
Yeah.
Chris
I had to throw it on here.
Yeah.
I had to.
I did not. I kind of feel a little guilty for not, but meh.
Well, let's hear it.
Given the games that it's got to go up against, I kind of feel like I should have as well. But either way, yeah, I could totally see how it deserves to be on a Game of the Year list. The sad thing about this game, and part of the reason why that pushed me to not put it on the list, this game is criminally unheard of. Sadly, it's criminally unheard of even in the shmup community, which I've dabbled in a little bit here and there. Back in the day, I got into Gradius 5 really hard and then kind of went around Gradius and found a bunch of other games. And when I would bring up Biohazard Battle, people would not know what I'm talking about. That's on public forums and like chat discussions. It's crazy. But for what it is a side-scrolling shmup. For those that don't know, shmup is shoot 'em up. If you've never heard of games like R-Type and Gradius specifically, those are your main like go-tos.
Was it also horizontal or vertical?
Biohazard was strictly horizontal. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And there are other games as well that are vertical shmups. There are some that do hybrids. There's isometric views and all that. But the idea is you're in some kind of ship or boat or something, and you are continuously shooting bullets around you and being bombarded by multiple enemies and bullets. It's also where the term bullet hell comes from.
Yeah. Big thing for this one was the upgrades were interesting. You had different weapons. You had these what we call cards that shoot out from you in all directions. You had the green one, which nobody wanted because that was basically your basic bullets. You had one that bounced. I think that was the red one. And yellow
was the rings.
I thought red was the rings that bounced. I think yellow was just faster shots than green.
Maybe. I'm thinking, you know what? It might be the color of what it was. I'm thinking of the actual bullets. Like when I think red, I think of red, the heat seeker, which actually like ran around and heat sought enemies and destroyed them. The rings that went out were yellow, I think. Either way, what somebody can give us actually if they want.
Oh, we already talked about this before too, so I'm pretty sure that I determined the heat sinking wasn't a thing when I went back and played.
Well, I think that was vehicle specific, though.
We never did figure that out.
Yeah, we didn't do our own testing. We just got to take my word for it because I'm never wrong. The enemy designs in this game were very good as well. I had a lot of that. For those that really dug the Mode 7 graphics of the SNES, I felt like some of the enemies in this game had that effect to it. There was a particularly comes to mind. There was like a leech looking enemy, but it was segmented up into a bunch of small spheres, and it would like kind of inchworm its way across the screen. Use that type of graphics. Giant enemy crabs comes to mind as well because that was our early boss. Sadly, I never made it even in my solo plays incredibly hard into the game. But the level designs, the graphics in the levels. There was a crumbling destroyed city in the first level. The second one was like a forest type level. Yeah. Just all around a very good, very entertaining shmup, and definitely a criminally unheard of shmup in the shmup genre. All that being said, Chris, above or below Streets of Rage 2?
I would put it above.
Okay, and I would also agree with that. I think that, because I never played it. Above or below Hugo the Third, Adam? What do you think?
I don't know. I can't honestly say because I'd never played it.
Well, what about?
So now we're at the war. Yeah. Y'all haven't played this game, and I haven't played that one, so we have no reference.
Let's see. Does Hugo the Third have a co-op or a multiplayer aspect to it?
Not even a little bit.
Okay. That would be one thing that Biohazard would have over that game, which would allow more replayability. You have actually, I want to say it was either 3, Chris, or 4 different ships you could pick from every time you play through as well. 4.
Yep.
So you could always pick the same 4 ships, or you could pick different ones. And I'm going to stick by my guns and say that the ships have different abilities you can pick as well. I don't know how many total levels there were. Chris, you may want to check on that real quick.
Yeah, I made it to 3, I think, on my playthrough using save states.
I think mine was 3 or 4, same thing. How if you were to go through Hugo the Third, Adam, in pretty much a not a perfect way, but if you were to just like you knew all the answers and knew what switches to flip and what things to do, how many hours of gameplay would you roughly guesstimate you could get out of this game?
If you knew exactly what to do in the most efficient manner possible, it'd probably take you about an hour to beat the game.
Okay. I think that'd probably be about maybe about half an hour or more but I think for both games as well. I feel like Hugo the Third, given the way that you're describing the game, it has a little bit more replayability / more gameplay life because you're going to get a lot of shit wrong. It's a lot of there's guess and check in shmups, but it more comes down to muscle memory. It more comes down to level advancement, knowing what enemies are coming from where, and then getting better at it. Where this game seems like you've got to almost how anal is it when it comes to getting shit wrong? Like, is it literally guess, fail, get it right, guess, fail, or is it pretty forgiving?
It's pretty ruthless. It's pretty ruthless. It's like, open the drawer, but you misspelled open. So he goes, "What the fuck are you talking about?"
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where you learn how to type correctly and fast, especially when you got an enemy running at you and you got to be like, type, pick up this thing, shoot him with this thing.
Yeah.
Biohazard Battle had 8 levels.
Okay. All right.
And see,
I'm kind of leaning, and again, it's up for discussion. That's what this episode's for. Many like it. I'm kind of leaning toward putting Biohazard above on. One of the reasons being is that if I'm going into a game and my failure is determined by my type speed or type rate or a misspelling or something like that, as opposed to I should have fucking got a better weapon or shot better, I feel like I would want to go back to Biohazard as opposed to wanting to go back to Hugo the Third.
So
what do you guys think?
You don't like typing of the dead, is what you're trying to tell me.
Oh, no. Woo, daddy. Ooh, what, that game is way fucking better than it should be. No, I mean, again, I haven't played Hugo the Third either, so I'm not shitting on it because I don't know it. It's just given from what I'm hearing.
Well, this is back in the old school style of if you can remember any point and click adventure games. Where they were snarky and they made fun of you for not doing the right thing, and the consequences were dire. That was Hugo. I think you actually moved around with the arrow keys.
And see, that puts a plus in its side when you say that there's it's not just, okay, I did the wrong thing, I typed the wrong thing, I typed the wrong answer, fail. There's feedback from the game that's either comedy or humor or poking fun at you. I like that. It lets you down, but lets you down easy. This is actually a tough decision, man. I'm just kind of feeling like Biohazard squeaks out on this one.
I mean, there's no saying we can't have a tie. Can't you just put it right there?
Given this far down the list, true enough, but still,
I'll give it to y'all. It ain't gonna hurt Hugo's legacy to be one down.
Yeah. Let's give Biohazard something. Let's give it a little. We'll go ahead and put Biohazard up there. Now, is it better or worse than Wolfenstein? Man, I gotta say, man, I'm kind of feeling Biohazard again.
Yeah, I don't.
Biohazard.
Yeah, I don't know if I ever played Wolfenstein 3D, but I think I might have a little bit. But just what I know about the game, I think personally I would put it above it.
Even with Wolfenstein 3D having that 3D isometric view, I feel the color palette, the life, the character that is Biohazard Battle is steps above Wolfenstein.
Yeah.
Wolfenstein is pretty two-dimensional for what it is, even though it's 3D. Mm-hmm. Multiplayer, they would both have multiplayer. I would imagine if 3D had multiplayer, it would be fairly more. It would probably get more hours of multiplayer replay value out of it. But I feel maybe the more fun is the co-op for me.
Yeah.
What do you think, Adam? You think shmup or 3D isometric first-person shooter?
I would say that Wolfenstein had more of an impact, a lasting impact than
that. Yeah, that is true. This is a sad case for Biohazard, the fact that it's so criminally unheard. I'm sure people are listening to us right now going, Star Trek, Biohazard, what the fuck is this shit? But
you talking about Resident Evil?
Yeah. Yeah, I think, again, it's so far down the list right now. Yeah. It's not a huge concern. I'm comfortable with Biohazard being where it is.
I'm okay with that as well.
If you ask me which are the two I'd probably go play Biohazard Battle again. But yeah, Wolfenstein, I mean, there is no Biohazard 4 out right now. There's definitely a trumpeted, carried on Wolfenstein series, so that's fine by me. Wolfenstein, you can have your spot. Let's make it a little bit more interesting this time. How about X-Men, the arcade game? Have all three of us played this genuine original arcade game?
If it's the one I'm thinking of, then yes. It's the one where they had like the Sentinels and you're fighting them in the streets. And
yes, this was the 6-player multiplayer arcade game.
Okay, yeah. I have played that.
Yep. This, there were other ones like it. There have been other ones like it in its time, but I think this was one of the originals. This is one of the original memory type games. Again, 6 players on the screen at one time, a multitude of X-Men you can play as, side-scrolling, beat 'em up, health pickups. That's not a bullet. I don't know why I said that. Just saying it's an aspect of the game. I only played this a few times in the arcade, and unfortunately I never got a full 6 people. I've been around and watched when 6 people were playing at one time. And it seems crazy to think of, especially when it's a 6-player co-op arcade game.
Yeah.
But it worked. I mean, it worked very well. What do you guys think?
I think it ate a lot of quarters when I was a kid.
Yeah, that too. It had its fair amount of difficulty.
Yeah, I think that's why I didn't play it that much, because I ran out of quarters.
That's back when only the rich could survive.
Right?
Yeah. And if, just so we're clear, by the way, I think that there was 2 versions of this arcade. I'm saying I think. I'm looking at the wiki now just so we're clear, because I remember there being there were 2 screens. I think there was a 4-player and a 6-player. The 6-player used, it does. It says it right here. Konami made a 6-player version of the game utilizing 2 screens housed in a Lux cabinet. Uh-huh. This was one of the reasons why it was a draw to me. I didn't even know that this didn't come in a 4-player mode. I thought this was the way to play it. And seeing it on 2 screens was kind of fucking crazy. But either way, I mean, it's pretty well known in the classic arcade setting. I mean, it made a pretty big impact on it's just the beat 'em up genre is something that is, if you don't know what that's like playing a co-op beat 'em up game in an arcade, doing it at home is one thing, yeah, true enough, but doing it in an arcade in a public setting, it's something, it's very fun, and this is one of the hallmarks. Yeah, and this is one of the hallmarks of that. So All right, where do we think this goes? Above or below Streets of Rage 2? I'm
above.
Definitely gonna say above. Tell you what, let's just stop me when you think it goes below it. Hugo, Jungle of Doom, I'm gonna say above. Biohazard Battle, I mean, hey, look, Biohazard's got 2-player co-op with 8 levels, no doubt. This thing has 4 to 6.
Yeah.
A bigger, sorry, Biohazard. Gotta go above you, my friend. Wolfenstein 3D. I mean, just the color palette and the sprite design alone makes me want to go above Wolfenstein. I feel Wolfenstein does have that popularity, as Adam brought up, but X-Men as well has that popularity, just not on the notoriety part of it. Around. Yes, they are. And this arcade game is like this is something people bring up, you know. When people bring up like Street Fighter 2 and Killer Instinct and that crazy Revolution X gun game, they also still bring up X-Men.
You press that little button and blast people with your mutant power.
Yeah.
So fun.
Now for the arcade fight, though. What do we think is better in the time? Do we think Mortal Kombat or X-Men is the better? Specifically the arcade game.
I remember fighting to get in line for Mortal Kombat. I remember walking right up to the X-Men thing every single time I wanted to play it.
Yeah. This is a tough one, man. I'm not going to lie.
I guess if Mortal Kombat had 6 controllers, it wouldn't have been so bad.
These are 2 completely different mentalities when you get into these games. Yeah. They both have a single player aspect to them. Yes. They both have their pseudo story, whether you take it seriously or not. But when the multiplayer when the multiplayer aspect of the arcade games come into play, these are 2 dynamically different. Mortal Kombat, you fight each other. These X-Men games, you fight together. So that is kind of like a 50-50. It's depending on which one you want to do. You know, 2 people can play this game co-op. 2 people are going to fight each other. Which one did you want to do? The character animations, they were both well done in both, again, given their times. Mortal Kombat used live actors for theirs. X-Men did not, but they look like the genuine X-Men style. Their sprite design fit the motif of the comic characters they came from. Sound design, I mean, they both got good sound design. They both got good graphics in their own right. This is kind of going to come down to feeling, gentlemen. Let's see. What's a crapshoot way we can do this? If you were in an arcade by yourself and you went to go to one of these arcade cabinets, which would you go to? Mortal Kombat or X-Men?
X-Men.
I'd probably go to X-Men.
Yeah, if I saw the 2, and I didn't know the hype train around Mortal Kombat, if I didn't see 7,000 people gathered around Mortal Kombat with 14 little kids going, guys, it's blood, right? I would probably go straight to X-Men because fucking duh.
That and the original Mortal Kombat has not aged well.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've played an arcade cabinet with Mortal Kombat that still has functioning controls. But they don't feel like they have functioning controls when you play.
Know what? I'll completely agree, because when you go back and play this old X-Men game, oh man, it's still got it. It's still got it. I'm fine with that. Fine with that completely. What about Mega Man 5? Do we think it's above or below Mega Man 5?
I'd say below that.
Yeah.
Man, you guys are just, I think you guys are trying to be my friends. I think that's what this is. But yes, I agree. Mega Man 5 has 8 separate bosses. There's secrets in, there's power-ups. There's ending game design. Yeah, I'd say for multiple reasons, Mega Man 5, not in a beat your face in way, is above X-Men the arcade game. So for those keeping track, we're a little over halfway through this list, but we got Star Trek 25th Anniversary, starting at the bottom, by the way. Then Streets of Rage 2, Hugo 3, Jungle of Doom, Biohazard Battle, Wolfenstein 3D, Mortal Kombat, X-Men, the arcade game, Mega Man 5, and Lunar, still at the top of this heap, living it up. I love it. Let's go with, Echo the Dolphin. Have we all 3 played Echo the Dolphin?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
All right. So, and I'll admit, my experience with it is not that like grand. I think I've made a level or two into this, and this is well over 2.5 decades ago. Some good things we can say about Echo. I mean, given the time for what it was, it had pretty graphics. It had great water,
good animations,
style. Yeah.
You were a dolphin.
You were a freaking dolphin. It was like the only game you could play to this day where you could be a dolphin.
Yeah, this has to be one of those games back in the day where a company, and there were several like it before that, I know, and there have been several after, but this has got to be one of those games, especially in Sega's corner, where they promoted the absolute fuck out of this game, because I saw ads for Echo everywhere, and I have it in my head the reason why they pushed this so much is like, guys, we understand what you're thinking. You're flipping through your Nintendo Power or your Game Pro or your EGM, you're looking at these games, and then you come across this. You flip a page and here's an ad for a game about a dolphin, and you immediately fucking switch the page, because who the fuck cares about playing as a dolphin? How would you play as a dolphin? Why would you play as a dolphin? What is the point of the game? And then you flip back to the page and you read over the thing and go, okay. And this thing was everywhere. Like they had a huge campaign to push this game. And then when you actually, or if you actually got the game, borrowed it, rented it, whatever, and played it, the controls for it were okay. I mean, you had mechanics for dashing forward and doing flips and swimming really fast and jumping out of the water and doing flips and shit and using your echo shit. Yeah. I mean, it wasn't the greatest thing in the world, no, but for a game that said, hey, you should check this out because here's why you should play as a dolphin, did a pretty good job.
And I do believe at the end of the game you fought aliens.
I still remember that to this day. Not because I played it and beat it, because I remember seeing a picture of a giant fucking yellow/golden silhouette of the face of a actual alien for the movie Aliens. I think that's what the story turned out to be. I never made it that far, so I couldn't tell you.
This game was so difficult. I made no progress. I got to a point when I was literally bashing my dolphin's nose against a wall because I couldn't figure out where I was going, what I was supposed to be doing. Yeah.
And I think now that there's many reasons why that is that way. Just general game design could be one of them. True, but I think that's kind of a negative toward the game. If you're making a game that's completely bonkers off the wall, let's take a recent example. Take Octodad. They give you a game and the premise is you're playing as a dad. That you're playing as an octopus. You're thinking, okay, sure. In my Call of Duty Mario Shadow of the Colossus mind, sure, I'm playing as an octopus. And they go, but it's quirky because, see, it's hard to control, and that adds to the humor because the game revolves around the humor aspect of it. That's fun. But if I have a game where you're telling me, hey, you get to play as a dolphin, and I go, all right, game, I'm giving you a try, and 4 hours later I haven't made it past the first or second level, yeah. Like, don't make it too fucking difficult, you know?
You see all the Star-Kissed tuna guys out there just rolling around with their nets trying to grab you.
So all that being said, do we think it's better or worse than Streets of Rage 2?
Better.
Yeah, I'd put it better.
Yeah, I'd put it better because you two said so. That's how I'm doing it.
It's like, I'm keeping out of this. I'm neutral.
Hugo the Third. Adam, what do you think? Below Hugo the Third. Okay. Why would you put it below Hugo? What puts Hugo above
the
Echo?
number? I'm going straight off the number of hours that I had and that I got out of enjoyment out of this. Now, I told you I spent 6 months trying to beat this game. That's 6 months of me attempting it every day.
I feel, without having played it, so talking completely out of my ass, if I'm given these two games that are both difficult in their own manner, their own reason, if I'm going through Echo, and it's just difficult because of the game designed to be difficult, or the controls are off, or there is some arbitrary reasoning why it's difficult. Yeah. I'm more likely to put that down than a game that seemingly under the cover has several like dialogue choices, or like I may fail 10 times, but I may get a different fail response, or it's gonna humor me. I'm gonna get a chuckle out of my failures.
You suddenly discover a new, way to phrase something, and suddenly it pops in your head. Oh man, let me just try this out. Oh, it worked.
Right. I would probably want to get good at Hugo Third as opposed to a game that's just broken or artificially designed to be bad.
Yeah.
/ hard.
Hugo was the Dark Souls of DOS.
I was going to say like Echo was the Dark Souls of Sega.
Yeah. I'm semi-comfortable with keeping it down below Hugo. What do you think, Chris? Does that sound fine?
Totally fine.
Sounds good. Sounds good. All right, let's find another battle royale to come up. Let's go with Street Fighter 2 Turbo.
Yeah.
So at this point, there have already been some Street Fighters out. There's already been some Street Fighter 2s out. And this is another in the long line of Street Fighter 2 games. Specifically at this point, let me remember. Let me try to look up real quick, because I think in 1992
Hyper,
they were like
Championship, and then Turbo, and they all came out in like the same year.
Yeah, there were
Hyper Fighting.
There were a few of them in 1992.
Capcom can't count to 3.
Let's see, we got Street Fighter 2 Turbo Hyper Fighting. I'm guessing that's the one that we're talking about, and also Street Fighter 2 Championship Edition.
Yeah.
Either way, I mean, you said Street Fighter 2, and it's already kind of understood why it would be on anybody's list anywhere. I'm trying to pull up to see the actual differences in what came out between these two games, just so people know.
I want to say it was just the speed.
Yeah, Turbo was faster fighting. Champion Edition added the 4 champions, I guess, or was that the World Warrior? I think World Warrior was the basic one.
Yeah, World Warrior had the 8 original characters. Championship Edition allowed you to play as the 4 boss characters.
Right.
And then Hyper not only increased the speed of combat, but it also allowed you to do something that had never been done before, which was pick the same fucking character and then palette swap them.
Wow.
I want Chun-Li. No, I want Chun-Li. We both got Chun-Li. Oh, shit.
Yeah. When I put this on my list, I just put 2 because I didn't really care what version.
Yeah.
This is the definitive fighting game.
Yeah. So in any event, again, just it's easy to fall back on a very simple thing. You said Street Fighter 2. It's understandable. It's on a list. Mm-hmm. If this was some fighting game list, I could completely understand. All that being said, if the audience isn't real versed on Street Fighter 2, specifically this edition, I think we brought it up in our 1992 gaming review, and I mean, you can look up Street Fighter 2 blank, whatever, anywhere on the internet. Not saying you can't go to us for some info, but oh my god, there's Street Fighter shit out the world. There are blogs upon wikis upon information, so it's kind of a thing, folks. If you don't know, in the fighting game world, Street Fighter 2 is a pretty big deal. Mm-hmm. All that being said, gentlemen, let's get down to the nitty gritty. Where do we think it falls on this list? Let's put it somewhere in the middle.
Let's just start it right above Mortal Kombat.
Do we?
That's kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah, I was gonna kind of cut some time off it because that definitely sounds good to me. I'm good with it being above Mortal Kombat. I mean, all these other games are good, but oh my god, the phenomenon alone, even if the game was mediocre, the tidal wave of phenomenon would be overwhelming. Mm-hmm. So we already got one arcade fight out of the way completely. Sorry, Mortal Kombat, you are
not the definitive fighting game.
Like, I'm sorry. I really am. You are good. There's no doubt about it. You're up in the top of these arcade games, but Street Fighter just seems to edge you out all the time. X-Men, the arcade game. What do we think?
Higher.
I'm gonna say higher as well.
I'd say higher because of impact.
Yeah, the impact and
Nobody played, X-Men in tournaments to make, thousands of dollars.
Yeah, the game to this day is still argued and still played over, and I mean, I'm sure there's arcade subsets for X-Men game as well.
I don't think that game destroyed any families or friendships or.
There aren't many debates I know of where people say X-Men, the 1992 arcade game is the definitive X-Men arcade game. It's Mega Man 5 above or below it.
Sorry, Mega Man.
That's okay. I agree as well. Street Fighter goes above it, but that's okay. It's not a fight I'm really concerned about losing there. The next one's going to be very interesting. Street Fighter 2 Turbo versus Lunar.
Sorry, Lunar.
Silver Star Story.
I really hate putting this above Lunar, but I'm going to have to because there's just so you can't beat Street Fighter 2 when it comes to the game is genre defining and it endures to this day. You could pick up Street Fighter 2 right now, play it, and it'd be a good game.
Could you not with Lunar the Silver Star?
Yeah, you totally could. But
for the one on that we're talking about.
Yeah, Sega CD.
Mm-hmm, that one would be kind of dated.
It's still fine. I've recently played it. It's not that dated.
You could play one of the remakes.
No, don't, because they're garbage.
Damn. Somebody doesn't like the remakes.
No.
I don't like the most recent remake, but I do like the one for the PlayStation.
Changed too much.
Let me add my little bit of weight in here, and I'm gonna let you two have the rest.
Okay.
You're pitting an RPG up against a fighter.
Yep.
Specifically an arcade fighter. So I understand completely these two are like fighting. These are two not so outclassed. This is a fucking Muay Thai fighter versus a boxer. I mean, your differences. But Lunar is an RPG. Which has a long story, which I'm certain has extra objectives, maybe side missions, little side stories. It's got a leveling system, item procurement, various enemies to fight and overcome, various bosses to fight and overcome. I don't know, guys, does it have a new game plus feature, or once you beat it, that's it?
No, that's it.
Not back then, no.
So, you play it once, it's kind of done. However, with Street Fighter, you can kind of play that solo game all you want, but if you don't have people to fight against, I'm talking about myself in particular, the game kind of loses it. If I went back and played Street Fighter 2 Turbo back in 1992 and then played it today, it would be just to play the same story again. If I play Lunar, if I like this RPG, being an RPG-minded person, if I knew I liked this RPG, I would probably play this game 10, 15, 20 times in my life. I'm looking at you, Final Fantasy VI and Chrono Trigger and Final Fantasy VII that I played multiple times. There's multi-play value to Lunar. There's multiplayer value to Street Fighter. This is definitely tough, guys.
This is kind of depends on the person, really.
Yeah,
I suppose.
I was going to say, if you're not a fighting game fan, then, if you don't know about the impact it had, kind of like we were talking about comparing, Mortal Kombat with X-Men. If you didn't know the impact it had in that scene or in that genre, how would you put it, But it did have an impact. It's still a thing now.
I feel like if the statement is made, Street Fighter 2 was the greatest game of 1992, I feel like that would be the world just knowing what the fuck Street Fighter 2 was. I wouldn't necessarily say that makes it a game of the year for the End of Time cast. We have to decide ourselves what we think is better.
This comes down to it. It's do you want to have a game that is strong single player? Do you want to have a game that is strong multiplayer? And that is, I don't know if that question has a correct answer. To be totally honest with you.
I got to tell you, I'm going to tell you where my vote goes. Even though I didn't care for it, even though it wasn't like a RPG that I just fell head over heels in love for, I would probably put Lunar over Street Fighter. It'd be a tough fucking fight. It'd be a drag out. But the RPG element, the life, the charm of that game, the replayability, all that, the story involved in it, the bosses, all that just kind of wins over at the end of the day with a sunset for me.
Now, let me just go ahead and state that I fucking love Lunar. But here is why I don't think it should be number one. If you look at the Lunar game, what did it really, really add to the genre? It was kind of a by-the-numbers RPG. It had some unique things that were unique because the Sega CD was trying to show out. It had the little cutscene kind of things.
Yeah, the cutscenes were great.
But other than that, which other RPGs did and did better eventually, and, you know, FMVs and cutscenes weren't really a huge part of RPGs until Final Fantasy VII, you know, blew it out the water and made everybody say, well, here's the new standard. Lunar tried to and could have set that bar years earlier, but they didn't.
Street Fighter did.
Street Fighter set all the standards for fighting games. It's like, is this game better than Street Fighter? No, fuck that game. That's the way you judge fighting games from then on.
That is a solid point.
I love Lunar. I love that game to death, but when you boil it down, the story was by the numbers. The gameplay was by the numbers. There were some unique little twists on the standard tropes, but it didn't really veer too far outside the lanes, you know?
Yeah.
So that's where I'll put it. I'm not play freaking Lunar if you can, whichever version you can find.
Preferably Sega
What do you say,
CD.
Chris?
So I get it. See, here's where my personal dilemma is, because Lunar for Sega CD is my favorite game of all time. So this is a game that has stuck with me since I played on Sega CD, however many years ago that was. This was one of my first RPGs, if not the first, where I actually, played it, and not like Phantasy Star 3, I think it was, which was also on Sega CD, that kept eating my save, and, I didn't enjoy it overall as much. But even though it's being compared, to being a kind of standard RPG, it's not a complicated story by any means, but the way they executed it, I don't think I've quite played another RPG that was like it. So even though it didn't define things in the genre, it still stuck out as its own game and was enjoyable for, many reasons. The cutscenes were well done. They weren't overplayed. The music was one of the big parts of the game. I've mentioned this before, but the intro, before you ever get into the game, the intro song that plays with that cutscene is one of the only video game songs on my playlist. That's not something I do, but this song, the intro, made it on there, so and this is a Sega CD game. Yeah. So for its time, pretty good. I recognize the impact Street Fighter 2 had, and if it's going to be over Lunar, that'd be the only reason why I put it over. It was just purely impact.
Adam, let me ask you. If we were to put Street Fighter and leave it below Lunar, would you be upset?
Nope.
I think that's exactly what we should do then, gentlemen.
I mean, it is what it is. Look, Lunar is... I say that it stayed in the lines, but that's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was paint by numbers RPG, but it nailed it. It knocked everything it tried to do right out of the park. It definitely belongs in this fight.
This is the other good thing about this, guys. Check this out. Adam, if I were to put in front of you Street Fighter 2 Turbo, Lunar Silver Star, which would you play right now? Right now.
I would play both of them simultaneously and die.
No, you wouldn't. I know you'd play Lunar.
If I had a friend, I would play Street Fighter. If I didn't have a friend, I would play Lunar.
Adam, if you were sitting in my house right now, I'd say, hey, why don't I play Lunar and you show me what I'm missing in this game? I would pick an RPG over that game. That's me. Chris, you?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, then Street Fighter 2 Turbo, you are a phenomenal game. At the end of Timecast acknowledges you for the fucking wealth. And again, we're treating Street Fighter 2 Turbo as if it's the Street Fighter 2 game. It's certainly not. It's one of. The Street Fighter 2 phenomenon was a thing. But this is the end of Timecast. And I know all three of us are RPG fucking lovers. And if anything, that there are two of us here that would go, oh yeah, Lunar. And I've made it understood as well that I've played through Lunar. I just didn't necessarily get into it, but I know a damn good RPG. I know I would play an RPG before I would play a fighting game like that. If it was like Injustice 2 versus Lunar, I mean, it's got more death. Shut up! Doesn't count. This is 1992. And so far, we're going to put Street Fighter 2 just below Lunar, but below is where it goes. Woo! That was, oh boy.
That was probably the hardest one. That was the one I was actually worried about. I was like, this one I've got to have my P's and Q's ready to make this point, but not trash Lunar at the same time.
Right. And that's fine. I mean, this is something that, I mean, Chris makes kind of jokes about it, but I make it understood as well. I think, was it last year, Chris, or year before? I think it was 91 where it was Mega Man 4. Yeah. I mean, that was a year, Adam, that had my number one video game of all time was in that year. That didn't make the number one list. I don't even, Chris, I think it made like number 4, number 5. Like it didn't come anywhere close to number one. Mm-hmm. I'm willing to put my like whoa shits aside for a little bit of common sense, a little bit of like understanding. And especially if there's a game that you played that it's like, whoa, your boobs, guys, you didn't even fucking know about this, you know. If we had never played Bad Company 2, you make a good fucking case for Battlefield Bad Company 2, it's going to be heard.
Yeah.
It's all about general.
As long as we know what the game in 1995 is going to be, we're good.
And even so, I mean, we just spent like, what, 15, 20 minutes talking about Street Fighter 2. If anything, it got its fucking due proper. You know, it got its due time.
Oh, yeah. I'm not upset about it. Not even a little bit. That was it belongs on the list. And if it's going to lose to a game, Lunar is a good candidate.
Yes, I agree. All right. We're getting into the thick of it though. We got some more heavy hitters coming. Let's go with a slightly easier one. Let's go with a palate cleanser game. How about Mario Paint? It's on the list. Have you two played Mario Paint in some fashion? No?
Define played.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. I put this game on the list. It's not necessarily one that I care about being up in the top even 10. It's just a fact of what it was and what it brought to a console market. It got a lot of it got more entertainment value out of me than I suspected it would. I mean, they shipped it with a mouse pad and a mouse, and it's fucking having Paint from Windows, but on a Super Nintendo console. And surprisingly, it worked. You had a drawing function where you had multiple ends to draw with, a pencil, a pen, spray paint, all that stuff. You could draw anything you want. You could color anything you want. For the most part, it was all up to your imagination. That's kind of what the game was about. It had a video editor. Kinda, sorta, more like a GIF animation. Basically, you could draw pictures and put them in succession, and it would play it like a flip book. It had that. It had a music editor, which, yeah, it only had select icons, but, yeah, you could make little music files, so that was a thing. I felt, if anything, it just needed to be mentioned for what it was this year. This was one of those crazy, weird, peripheral kind of things Nintendo did, and when I got my hands on it, I got way more play out of it than I decided. kind of all I want to say on Mario Paint. Let's talk about where we're going to put it on this list. So I'm thinking that maybe we should start as well somewhere in the middle. I don't know, because I don't know how much experience you guys have in Mario Paint.
None.
I would say it's pretty memorable.
Yeah, I mean, it's got as much replay value as, Paint if you're adding music to it.
It's just MS Paint with Mario.
I mean, personally, just from what I've heard, I'd immediately give it Echo the Dolphin. No problem.
Yeah.
I'll leave it up to Adam whether Hugo gets, and then we can, discuss Biohazard.
Yeah. I feel it's cute. Go ahead.
I would say it's probably, I would stick it like right under Mega Man at starting.
Wow. I don't know if I'd put it above Mortal Kombat. Let's start there then. Do we think this is better than or worse than Mortal Kombat? I mean, it's got a novelty play to it. It's the idea of walking into a mouse controlled program and drawing things. Your limits are your imagination / the palette they give you for drawing.
I think that's helped its persistence. I've heard a lot of modern songs and modern old retro music recreated on there.
Yeah.
You can still go on YouTube and find videos of people making songs in Mario Paint.
I just don't know how I feel about putting Mario Paint above the original Mortal Kombat, though.
Yeah, I'd say that it sounds weird to say it. I'll give you that.
Yeah. You were saying, Chris? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never played it, but we got some heavy hitters here.
It's it's not even really a game.
Yeah, it's
not.
I
guess it's the weird thing is it's a freaking paint / audio tool.
I don't know how, novelty would be kind of a hit between these two. And we're specifically talking 1992 as well. Like, how much could you go back to Mortal Kombat? How much could you go back to Mario Paint? How much would you want to go back to Mario Paint? Unfortunately for me, I kind of played both of these around the same time, and I kind of went back to them equally. I mean, you have creativity as a means for play or a reason to play for one, and the other one is competition.
I would say it's got innovation and utility for sure, but as a game, I think Mortal Kombat wins because it is a game.
I'm feeling like it'd be a knockdown, drag out fight, as weird as that is to sound to say, but I kind of feel like Mortal Kombat would win over. I know and again, this is us three, not the world. I know even me that the one thing that Mario Paint made me realize is that I'm not as creative as I think I am. At least the 1992 version did.
Just killed all your little dreams. Right, I don't know how
more. Well, specifically, like going to the music editor. Like maybe it's just that I'm not as musically inclined as I would like to be. But I mean, they give you several different sound options to pick from, and they're, for what they are on the Super Nintendo, they're genuine sounding. There's a piano and a horn and a fucking cat meowing, and you can use those in time to make music, as pseudo music as you can. But I usually turned out shit, and it was fun to draw around with a pad for a while, and it was fun to try to make some music things, speed up music, slow it down, take the pitch and turn it up and down, etc., make little flip book animations maybe. But I felt like at the end of the day, I got more personal fun and draw from Mortal Kombat. I think I'm good with putting that right below Mortal Kombat.
I mean, we're really comparing essentially like Mortal Kombat to Adobe Acrobat.
Yeah.
It's like, which one's more useful? Obvious
just,
winner.
You know, the Mario Paint has the advantage of having the Mario's face on it. You know, it's got the Mario little tidbits in it. It's got a Yoshi in it and a Mario and yada yada yada.
You know, you want to compare an Excel spreadsheet to freaking Mortal Kombat? Then yeah, okay.
What about this perspective? If it didn't have Mario, would it have been as good? Would it have been as popular?
Probably not as popular. As good? I mean, what actually Mario was in Mario Paint?
You had the little Mario jumping on the mushrooms as the music played. You know, you had
had the hit. Mario was running the
Mario sounds.
Song, yeah. Had a couple Mario sounds, yeah, but it had a lot of generic things too, like the plane and the horn and yada yada yada. It did have some Mario stamps for your drawing part, but yeah, I get what you're saying, Chris. I think if Mario was taken away from this, while I would argue not as popular, I think it still would offer almost the same experience. You know, it's drawing, painting, making little makeshift flip book art movies, and creating little music notes. Music with music note stamps.
I will say this: it is hands down better than Mario is Missing.
On this, we can agree. I think we've given Mario Paint enough its due justice as well. I'm cool with it sitting below Mortal Kombat. That's totally fine, my man.
That's fine.
Not a hill that I want Mario Paint to die on. Let's see. We're getting to some nitty gritty, guys.
Oh yeah,
man. Let's take another one out of the way. How about Hook? Hook. Now, I never played this Hook, and I've only seen the movie one time, so this is not my fight.
All right, Chris, you ever played this?
Nope.
Really? Man, another one.
All on you. That's okay.
That's okay. That's all right. I'm going to enlighten y'all on some games y'all missed. Hook is a very, very well done movie adaptation to a game. And it's one of the few times in this era where it got done well. It is your basic side-scrolling platformer. It's got, a little bit of flair from the movies, but the thing that really stuck out in my mind and has never left, in the very first level, you start off, I guess it wouldn't be, would it be horrible to spoil the movie?
It's, hey, spoiler,
the damn thing's
spoiler warning for the Hook movie, if anybody,
From 1991.
Yeah, I mean, you had damn near 30 years to watch it.
But there you go. We did our part, Adam.
Yep. I'm pretty sure 30 years after release, it's no longer spoiler territory. But yeah, you have Robin Williams, who is Peter Pan, but grown up. And he goes back into the Neverland as an adult and basically beats the shit out of a bunch of kids to reclaim his leadership of the Lost Boys. Well, that part is the first level.
Okay.
And the thing that like stuck out to me when I was playing it, and this is just a small little detail, but it's one of those things that I remembered, is in every other level you killed the enemies, but in the very first level you beat the crap out of them and they surrendered. And they stood there with their hands up in the background. So you'd fight, you had like a little wooden sword, and you just, fuck you, Lost Boy. And he'd, put his hands up, he'd drop his sword and be like, oh, yep, I submit. And you'd platform over to the next little area, and then you'd beat the crap out of that. You had a little meter that would fill up, that would let you fly around the level. Mm-hmm. And every once in a while, Tinkerbell would come by and fucking fill your meter back up so you could fly some more. Mm-hmm. Very, very well done platformer, very well done property, not RPG, but a property based title. And
good Super Nintendo sprite graphics, yeah.
Yep, pretty solid graphics for the time. So stuck out in my mind as one of the better games of 1992.
Sounds like this is another one of those Disney sleepers that didn't get enough popularity, like the Goof Troop game
or the Aladdin game.
Yeah, well, I think the Aladdin game got some pretty good legs out of it. But like Goof Troop, I didn't even know that shit existed till I was in my 30s. So yeah, I guess I'm talking about just me. But yeah, just looking at the sprite work for this game, looks pretty damn good. It is a Super Nintendo game, and it was published by Sony Interactive. What?
Right?
Sony ImageSoft, I think was the company.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm sold on the graphics. I'm sold on the side-scrolling platforming slash beat 'em up style. Above or below Biohazard?
I didn't play Biohazard.
Yep, already at an impasse. Definitely feeling above Echo the Dolphin.
Yes.
I could totally get into more of a platforming, side-scrolling sprite Super Nintendo game than Echo.
Yeah.
And Hugo, yeah, it still beats out trial and error story kind of game. Biohazard, is it co-op, Adam?
Not to my knowledge. I didn't play it. I didn't even attempt to play it multiple player, but I can't imagine it would have been.
Yeah.
It was more like Pitfall with the sword.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't see 2-player or co-op on here anywhere. I'm kind of leaning toward Biohazard Battle be a little bit above this game. Again, it's kind of sad to say because I didn't play Hook, and I know you didn't play Biohazard Battle, but the co-op aspect, the couch co-op, just kind of edges out Hook for me. It's great going back and playing old Capcom style Disney games, in this same vein like DuckTales and whatnot. But putting a friend or family member next to you playing a game kind of elevates it.
There are some pretty brutally difficult parts to it, like any good platformer. Whereas, like, okay, we got to make sure you got your timing down here, and you got to. So it had its moments, but solid RPG, very solid movie-based title.
Yeah.
It would go on my list for best movie-based titles.
Do you think, would you put up too much of a fight of it being below Biohazard Battle, given what you heard?
I can't really speak to Biohazard Battle, but if I just keep picturing R-Type in my head, and I'm like, okay, well, I can see how you might like. If you preferred one genre to another, then yeah, that would
There it
sit.
There it sits. All right, folks, we're coming down to the last 3 on this list, and we got to come out with a number 1 on this. And this is where the list stands for the audience. Starting from the bottom up, we got Star Trek 25th Anniversary, Streets of Rage 2, Echo the Dolphin, Hugo 3, Jungle of Doom, Hook, Biohazard Battle, Wolfenstein 3D, Mario Paint, Mortal Kombat, X-Men arcade game, Mega Man 5, Street Fighter 2 Turbo, and Lunar the Silver Star. This is our current top whatever list for 1992. And we got 3 more games to rank. And we're going to see what comes out on top.
This is gonna be pretty brutal.
This is going to be pretty brutal. We're going to start with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 4, Turtles in Time.
You're just diving right into this shit, ain't you?
Diving right the fuck in. Now, it may or may not be known to the podcast audience that I'm a big fucking Ninja Turtles fan. Still to this day, it's just a charming thing from my childhood that's stuck around. I am an asshole about it where I really only like the older stuff. I've kind of seen pictures here and there of the newer Turtle adaptations over time. I don't really care for that shit. But this comes at a very crucial time in our kids' life, our childhood life. There was a 1992, but now in Japan and North America, this came out for the Super Nintendo. And the Super Nintendo is good enough for me to be on this list. This is side-scrolling beat 'em up. Whether you play this in the arcade or the Super Nintendo, I mean, you got better graphics, yada, yada, yada on the arcade, but you still got that co-op gameplay in here. I don't remember. I'm feverishly looking now to see if this thing supported 4-player, if you could, plug in a multi-tap, but I don't see it. I know at a minimum you could definitely play 2-player. That's one of the big draws to this game. But in any event, you got a side-scrolling beat-em-up multiplayer game with Ninja Turtles involved. All of the Ninja Turtles stuff is treated very fairly. It's treated with respect. It's got a lot of nods to the cartoon. I think a lot of the assets from the game were pulled from the cartoon. A lot of the bosses, you got Bebop and Rocksteady. You got Baxter Stockman. Shredder comes into play. Krang inside of his fucking walking man suit thing. A lot of nostalgia comes into play, and a lot of if you're in 1992, a lot of holy shit, it's the Turtles, yay, it's the Turtles stuff, it's all the Turtle stuff I know. Mm-hmm. They say cowabunga, they pick up pizza, they beat up foot soldiers, they throw
you can fling them at the screen.
Yes, using those good old graphics. Oh man. The music is very catchy and upbeat. It fits the vibe of hurry and go across the screen and beat the shit out of people. Whether you're playing this single player or multiplayer, the charm and appeal of this game is definitely there. Now, would this game be as good to people that don't have Turtles vibes if those people exist? I would say yeah, there's still beat 'em up slash 'em up attributes still in this game. It still has a very large color palette. It has beautiful graphics. It has fast, engaging, catchy music. Mm-hmm. If your type of gameplay is beat 'em up, this is going to be your kind of game. If you're not a beat 'em up or a Turtles fan, would you like this game? I think it has enough charm to maybe this could be an entry game for somebody that's not even familiar with this genre. Mm-hmm. This is definitely a strong game in the beat 'em up genre. It's a strong game in the SNES library, and it's definitely up there in the ranks of Super Nintendo games. Anybody else got any flavor text for this game?
I can tell you that this has some of the best animation, and just it looks so damn good for the era, especially on a Super Nintendo game. Mm-hmm. I mean, this thing, it looked great, it played great, it was great. It is definitely on the top, going towards the top of this list, I guarantee it.
And again, I really want to emphasize that point as well. The fact that it stays so true to that 87 cartoon look, like when you run across again, Baxter Stockman for the first time, he's going to look like the character that's in the cartoon. He may have some attacks that look new to you, and he may have some movement that looks different to you, but it's him. When you're fighting foot soldiers, they look like the foot soldiers that you know and love. Mm-hmm. It fits that 87 Ninja Turtles theme. It's so good, man. It's so good for all the aspects that it is. It is very good.
You always have that one asshole friend that's got like one piece of health missing, and he grabs the whole damn pizza.
Yep. God, it's
and that was me.
Those multiplayer aspects.
I'm not sorry either.
All right. Well, just taking a quick snapshot of this list, I'm going to say that game definitely belongs above Mario Paint. Yeah. So it's got about 5 or 6 spots to go. Let's fucking dive in. All right. Turtles 4 versus Mortal Kombat.
Turtles 4.
So many reasons why Turtles 4. Mortal Kombat, again, I love you, and I know you feel like you're getting shit on by the end of time, but
you are.
When you're going up against when you're going up against Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I'm sorry, man. It's done. All right. Well then, now this is going to be kind of rough. Mm-hmm. Okay, because this was an arcade game, and this was based off an arcade game.
I believe it came out in the arcade. I think it was ported to the Super Nintendo.
Yes, it was. Yeah. It was 91. It was in the arcade, and then this year it was brought to the Super Nintendo. Mm-hmm. So what do we think, guys? The Turtles 4 versus X-Men.
There's one you can, go spend a bunch of quarters on, and the other one you can sit your fat ass on the couch eating Cheetos in your underwear.
Yeah, I guess we're gonna have to come to some kind of weird on-the-fly consensus here because are we literally gonna be pitting X-Men the arcade game versus Turtles in Time the SNES game?
We are literally doing that right now, and I will still say the SNES game wins. And you know why? It's because it was a great port of the arcade version, and you can play it in your underwear.
You know what? Chris, what do you say?
As much as I love Turtles, I really like X-Men. And I didn't play Turtles on SNES, but I did play it in arcade. Mm-hmm. And I think I would, if I had both cabinets in front of me, I would probably play X-Men.
Okay.
Just because of the property. The franchise.
This is such a toughie, and it shouldn't
Cowabunga.
be.
Yeah.
Shell shock.
I'm sorry. I've got to put Turtles over it. Right. I love X-Men too. I totally feel you. And they both have 4. One has a 6-player co-op. But if I'm being the anal retentive asshole talking about a at-home Super Nintendo multiplayer game versus an arcade game, I'm gonna pick Turtles 4, Turtles in Time as well.
And it's then just just because it is a good port and it's super convenient.
Yeah, they definitely crammed a lot of what made the arcade game good into that port
without making you spend quarters.
I think the other obvious question is, Chris, if this game was above X-Men the arcade game, would you fight for it? Would you be upset?
No. I'm okay with that.
Okay. Well, yeah, let's do that then. Let's just, fuck it, right? Let's live only once. We're going to put X-Men arcade below it, and we'll put Turtles in Time right above it. Sorry, X-Men, but you are a good game. We love you. We love you. We love you big time.
Mega Man.
Oh, great. Now I get to have mine. Okay. Turtles 4, Turtles in Time versus Mega Man 5. Oh, I did not anticipate
now
this.
Now you get to do what I did with Lunar a minute ago.
I did not anticipate this. I need some feedback from YouTube before I weigh mine in. Come on. Mega Man 5. This is the 5th installment of the Mega Man series.
I mean, where would you put Mega Man 5 in the Mega Man series?
That's you know what? I should do that someday. I should look at the 70-something Mega Man games.
You haven't done that yet?
I should.
You already did.
I really should.
Wow.
Well, unfortunately, even when I played through all the Mega Man games in my 25th anniversary playthrough, I only played through 30 titles, and I only played through like 6 that I never played before.
I only played through 30.
There are a shit ton of Mega Man games. Like, I want to say there's around 60-something. I would put, if I'm looking at just the NES Mega Man games, I would put Mega Man 5 pretty far up there. Like, to me, it's better than Mega Man 2, better than Mega Man 1. It'd be a toughie between Mega Man 3. It's not better than Mega Man 4, and it'd be a toughie between 6. I'd put it fairly up the list with Mega Man 5.
And where would you put Turtles in Time on the Turtle properties?
Yeah, exactly. See, that's kind of a rough one because I've only played about 5 of those games.
Because I think it stands pretty close to head and shoulders above all the rest.
It is pretty far. Yes, it is. It's up there. It's way up there. Especially, unfortunately, for the Turtles universe. A lot of these later Turtles games have come out to be
hot garbage,
pretty bad. But at the end of the day, man, no, I can't. I cannot do it, guys. If you put these two games in front of me and you say go play which one, I'm playing Mega Man 5 again for the 2700th time over Turtles 4. Co-op, be damned.
Damn,
like, I'm doing it.
You don't want to watch Raphael punch a dinosaur, man?
It is fun. Don't get me wrong. It is, and it's got all the turtle charm and with everything that I said about it. But I cannot put that game over Mega Man 5. Can't do it.
If it was Mega
Man 2, yeah, I'd do it.
So, one for up, one for down. Chris, you're the tiebreaker. He's like, I don't even think it belongs here.
I mean, it is what it is. I would be okay with it being below 5, purely because of the longevity of the franchise. Turtles is obviously still a thing, but was this the last really good Turtles game? I mean, we're talking about how it went downhill,
Probably.
Did it peak after this, or was this the
is
last
probably
one?
the peak. This is probably
Actually,
the zenith.
yeah, no joke. Like even tournament fighters, which I don't know, maybe it came out right before, right after, but either way, like just looking at if you're looking at the side scrolling or even 3D, like, hey, let's 2/4 of us get together and each pick a turtle and go beat shit up. I haven't even heard of any other ones that come to this level. I always hear about this one, either this version or the arcade version, always.
It's this one or the one, the original arcade version where they start out in the building that's on fire.
Oh, yeah. Turtles 2, the arcade game. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So for that reason, I'm okay with it being below 5, Mega Man 5.
Alrighty. Well, the End of Time cast has spoken. So now we are pitting... actually, sorry. So Mega Man 5 sits where it is. I almost fucked my own list up.
I wasn't going to say nothing.
Mega Man was like, whoa, no.
I was watching it. I was like, yes, do it. Do it.
For the audience, we have like a spreadsheet.
Google sheet.
A Google sheet. We are in time visualizing this list for ourselves so we can see it. And here I am moving Mega Man down. Mega Man's like, whoa, no.
I thought I
all
would.
that shit?
I thought I would.
How you gonna stab me like that? Come on now. All right, we got 2 games left. Woo.
Let's do the easier one first. Come on.
What's the easier
I want to end
one,
with the
Chris?
fight.
What's the easier one, Chris?
Sonic.
All right, so we have Sonic the Hedgehog 2 for the Sega Genesis. This came out in 1992. Oh, man. And again, for most of these games, you can check out our 1992 year in review to hear more in-depth discussion or just us just talking about these games in general. But if you don't know what Sonic the Hedgehog is, back in the day, it's a side-scrolling platformer. It had an emphasis on speed. You will come to learn over time that speed is greatly over-exaggerated. There are a lot of slower points, but there is a lot of platforming to it. Has a lot of great music, a lot of catchy, charmy music. The color palette's great. The levels are varying. This is the first of the Sonic series that introduces a new partner, which means you can have co-op play. Tails gets introduced in this one. It also has a multiplayer mode, like a race mode too. This was also my pick of the first 3 Sonics. So, I mean, I'm definitely up for this game being pretty far up on the list. Mm-hmm. Definitely a damn good solid addition to the Sonic franchise in general. Where would I say? I mean, again, I feel like Mortal Kombat is sitting here with a what the fuck, really, guys? But I feel like I want to start picking on Mortal Kombat right off the bat.
Let's just start right above Lunar and work from there.
Okay, well then it's number 1. All right. So yeah, fuck it. Let's start right somewhere closer to the middle. Mortal Kombat. Do we feel Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is better than Mortal Kombat?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm going to say yes as well. Poor. I can't wait to get the flood of emails from our Mortal Kombat fan base that's like, you guys.
Fuck y'all.
Wow. But again, it's the End of Time cast's opinion. If you love Mortal Kombat, please, I understand. We just don't think it matches up to Sonic.
We're just not 13 anymore, you know?
X-Men, the arcade game. Now, man, I ain't going to lie, this is already tough for me. Holy shit.
Yeah.
You got 4 to 6 player co-op in the arcade, great X-Men graphics, music, colors, all that good stuff, or you got Sonic the Hedgehog 2 at home
Sonic
platforming.
in his prime.
Yeah. Oh man.
I tell you what,
you have the option.
I'll say it again. You know, this is one of those games where it was like, okay, I can play co-op with my friend, sitting in the, sitting in my bedroom, chilling out. You know, he's playing Tails and I keep running him off the screen and killing him. You know, I think I will always put a game that I can just bank a shit ton of time into above a game where my access to it is intentionally limited.
Yeah.
And I feel like every arcade cabinet ever made was designed with one purpose in mind, and that was to get as many quarters from you as possible.
Yeah.
And they intentionally made the game, you know, to where it would eat those quarters away from you.
This sounds like an arbitrary thing. I get it, but I feel like the multiplayer aspect of these two games, they're going to be skewed one way. Because if I am sitting at home playing Sonic 2, it's like you can see Tails following you even in single player mode. You know he's there. And if whoever comes and plays with you, they're pretty much another ring collector. They're an extra life. They're a hand to pick you out of pits. They're there to help, no doubt. But it's not a fiendish thing where you're like, I do not even want to play this if I don't have a second player. When you're in the arcade, of course, you can play X-Men the Arcade single player, but when you're surrounded by any more than one other person in an arcade setting, and you see the 3/5 other joysticks next to you, and you see the options for insert coins, and the mentality of just being in a arcade with many people around you, pressing buttons, dumping quarters, having fun, you're gonna want to have somebody else with you. You're gonna want to have more people. You're gonna feel different than if you were at home playing Sonic by yourself, you know. Like I love playing Sonic with Chris, and whether I was playing as Sonic or he was playing as Sonic, it was fun, but I could take Sonic the Hedgehog 2 home and play by myself and be fine. If I was in the arcade, I want all you motherfuckers to be playing with me. Because I feel kind of weird playing through X-Men like by myself. I can do it. I'll have fun with it, but it's nowhere near the same.
Yeah, we ain't got enough people on this podcast to fill up that machine.
I know. Well, what do you think, Chris? You think Sonic 2 beats out X-Men the arcade game?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I'm feeling it as well. And again, if we're up to the what? We're up to the top like 6-7 titles. I mean, these games have already
entered the top 5.
Yeah, they've already got their just due. You know, these last two games are going to get their just due. They're just proper. It's not like we're shitting on them if they're moving them up. It's just we feel that one's better than the other. Which brings up to Sonic the Hedgehog 2 versus Turtles in Time. And this will be a decent fight because now we're talking about a console version versus a console game.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
I
don't think this is gelled in my head yet, is what I think. It's still like that brain cells are fighting each other right now. There's like a war going on.
Yeah.
If I had to say one or the other, I would say that Turtles was slightly better, but only because I could go through it and do weird little things. There were lots of little things in Turtles.
Yeah.
You know, there was like, okay, well, I could swipe at the pizza guy while he goes around and make a duck, you know, stuff like that. I could punch the T-Rex in the nose, throw the foot soldiers at the screen.
There were multiple ways. Yeah, there were multiple ways to take out your enemies. You know, I'm gonna say this, and this is not a Sonic the Hedgehog 2 problem. This is a Sonic problem, and this Sonic problem might weigh out for Turtles in the end.
Yeah.
If I play through Turtles, if Chris comes to me and says, hey, man, I've got this beat 'em up style Ninja Turtles game. It's got 8, 9, 10 levels, whatever. Go all the way through it. No matter how many times I die, no matter how many times I go back through that game, how many lives I use, continues I use, whatever, I'm going to get that same arcadey feel all the way through. I'm going to get that same ideal all the way through. And again, this is not Sonic the Hedgehog 2's fault. This is the classic Sonic in general. When I go through the first level of Sonic 2, I'm getting speed. I'm going fast. I'm moving fast. I'm taking some different routes here and there, but I'm still going through another fast route. When I get to the second level, there's a lot of slowdown.
You're still going fast as hell because it's a chemical plant.
It's still going fast. There's some hiccups here and there, but yeah, still going fast. When you get to the third one, and I believe third one is the marble zone.
Yeah, that's when you slam on the brakes.
That's when you
start platforming and shit.
Yeah, and again, it's still I still enjoyed it. I still had fun maneuvering around the level, but that's just crazy.
Sonic was not made for platforming. I'm sorry, he's just too slippery. He's too fast.
When you mark it to me a side-scrolling beat 'em up, I'm getting side-scrolling beat 'em up style gameplay all the way through, even on the like the gimmicky type levels. But with Sonic, I'm getting speed, and just picking different routes to get from point A to point B, and then I get stop, platform, jump, dodge this, don't get crushed by this, figure out where to go, backtrack a little bit, etc.
Get 50 range jump.
That break in gameplay kind of puts Turtles 4 a little bit over Sonic 2 for me. Music's a little bit catchier. Music's a little bit more upbeat, but that could be just because it just totally fits the Turtles motif. Sonic doesn't really have a motif to fit. It has its own motif. But pretty much all of Sonic's music as well is catchable, is very catchy. Chris, what do you think, man?
I'd be okay with it under Turtles. If I had the two in front of me, even if I had someone to play with me, I would pick Turtles probably.
Yeah. I feel like I would have just a little bit more fun, a little bit, even in 92, I just have more kid-like fun if I made it 4 levels into Turtles 4 and had to quit, as opposed to me getting to level 3 and being like, it's that time, it's that part of the game now, you know?
See, I feel like I'd play the first 2 levels of Sonic and then I'd switch over to Turtles.
Yeah.
That's pretty
totally
good.
Fine.
Yeah.
Totally fine by me. All right, so I'm sure everybody out there has done their own math and they know where the next game is. If you don't, man, I guess this will be a surprise for you, but here it comes, the last game that we have to debate for the 1992 Video Game of the Year is Super Mario Kart. Super Mario Kart.
Oh.
Now, Super Mario Kart is a franchise that has endured to this day, and it has got an unprecedented fucking following. Like, it rivals a Smash Brothers following on the Nintendo consoles. But even take that lineage away, just look at Super Mario Kart for what it is in that year. You got a racing game, pretty much. It also has 2-player split screen. You can race against other racers. You can race against each other. It's got that Mode 7-ish graphics at times. Got a lot of turning the level around as you go. There's coins scattered around the levels. The track, and you pick up the coins to increase your speed. It has items you can roll across and use those items both in your favor and against other enemies. It's got a lot of Mario charm to it, which it adds to it. This is the first in the long line of kart racing, shoot to kill, hair pulling, racing. I feel like I don't know. This could be because of the audience that I grew up with and the people that I grew up with, but I don't remember the homicidal tendencies coming around with Mario Kart until Mario Kart 64. I played Mario. Place, yeah, I raced Mario Kart with some friends here and there, but it wasn't until 64 came around where it's like, man, you were in 7th place. Fuck you. How are you in first? Like, I don't remember that crazy.
That's because there wasn't a blue shell in the first Mario Kart.
Yeah,
there was a red one and a green one.
I don't think that algorithm shit really came into play until 64.
Yeah.
In any event, it's fucking Super Mario Kart. It's up there in popularity. It's up there in fun, and it is it is not back down even to this day. If there's a console by Nintendo, you're guaranteed to have some kind of Mario Kart on it, past the Super Nintendo anyway. With all that being said, unless you guys have some more input from Mario Kart, any stories or tidbits or anything.
Just remember that it had multiple game modes as well. It had the 50 and 100cc versions of the races. It had a battle mode.
Oh, yeah, it sure did.
A split screen battle mode. It had split screen multiplayer. Mm-hmm. Each character was unique, both in their sprite and in their attributes. I do believe they twinned a lot of the characters, but they each had their own little. I mean, one of the things that kind of got me was if you looked at the mini map, it just showed a little munchkin version of whatever you're racing.
Yeah,
and I thought that was the coolest thing ever on the Super Nintendo.
Yeah,
yeah.
And it also had 2 ways to use every item, if I do believe. I think you could hold up and it would do something different if you held down while you used the item. So, like, you could drop a banana peel behind you, or you could launch it ahead of you.
Yeah, I think that was item specific though. I don't think everyone had secondary.
I remember you could drop the shell. Well, no, I don't know about mushrooms.
Yeah.
But
or did they even have mushrooms on the Super Nintendo version?
They did. They had mushrooms on the Super Nintendo version.
Well, man, let's fucking get into this. We got to get into this.
All right, so right underneath Hugo.
Nice try. I know you were saving that. I know you were saving that right for the end. Let's play it a little bit fair. Do we think it goes above or below Mario Paint?
Above.
Yeah.
Above?
Sorry, other Super Nintendo game. Do you disagree?
No.
Okay. Oh, here's an argument that I'm sure 10 years ago you two couldn't wait to get into, but here we go. Super Mario Kart versus Mortal Kombat. Go.
Well, I don't remember any Super Mortal Kart coming out, so you can't drive around with Scorpion or anything. Pretty sure
that'd be really interesting.
Yeah.
Sub-Zero's all freezing carts in front of him.
Why have they not jumped off on that?
Oh, man. You can imagine Scorpion, he's like in his go-kart and he does the harpoon to like catch up to the guy in front of him. He's like, let me get up to you or some shit.
Get over here.
And it already has K in it, Super Mortal Kart. It's already got a K in it for kart.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Mortal Kombat Kart.
Oh, man.
Mortal Kart.
Mortal Kart. Yes.
Mortal Kartbat.
You have been dubbed. Holy crap, Mortal Kartbat sounds so good.
Well, we just figured out the best game.
I feel pretty comfortable putting Mario Kart above Mortal Kombat.
I do too.
I would, if I had the two again, even if it was a Super Nintendo version, I would still probably play Mario Kart over Mortal Kombat. It's just got more draw, more appeal.
Mm-hmm.
It has somewhat. I don't think there was
got a more successful series that it spawned. There's just there wasn't any co-op. There was the little balloon battle thing and the adversarial racing. Yeah, but it was still fun.
Yeah, I'm comfy with putting it above Mortal Kombat. It'd be kind of a rough fight, but Mortal Kombat again would have its arms up in the air, going, "What the fuck, guys?" And it is what it is. Super Nintendo Mortal Kombat versus X-Men, the arcade game.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would put Mario Kart above X-Men.
See, the X-Men are in carts now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the X-Men. Again, good game, good arcade game, but still, that charm, something about just the thought of putting it above X-Men just feels right anyway. So we'll go ahead and drop old X-Men down, and now we're going to put it up against Sonic the Hedgehog 2.
This is cool because these were actually in an advertisement together.
They were. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You got the blast processing, and then they had like the little shitty fucking ice cream truck that was like backfiring and stuff. It had Mario Kart playing on the back. Like, and showed them all slow, like just kind of running around in circles.
Yep.
And it showed like Sonic like doing loops and stuff. That commercial hasn't fared well for Sega. Just saying.
Nope. So what do we think, guys? Do we feel Mario Kart goes above?
I'm just saying Genesis does what Nintendo don't.
I'm feeling above. I feel like I would go back to Super Mario Kart more than I would go back to Sonic 2.
Yeah.
I feel pretty comfortable saying that.
Yeah, here's the only thing I'll say about Super Mario Kart at this point that we haven't really talked about is if you're playing as a single player, that's kind of a whole different experience than if you're playing with even one other person,
I think even single player, I'd probably still go back to Mortal Kombat before Sonic. I would get that. I think Adam said it best earlier.
Wow.
Oh yeah, Mario Kart. Sorry,
I
think Adam. I think
you just can't get off of it.
Yeah, we're making a thing. We're making a thing. I think Adam kind of said it best earlier. It kind of sums up how I play usually most Sonic games, actually, except for Sonic Mania. I'm kind of going all the way through that bad boy, but. I get about 2-3 levels into Sonic and I'm pretty good. If I play Mario Kart, I'm going to put it on a CC and I'm going to try to go through it. And if I beat that CC, I'm probably going to put it on the next one and go further. Yeah. I'm going to try to get better at the tracks. I'm going to try to, it's the luck of the draw with the power ups throughout the level. It's the wanting to get better at picking up more coins throughout the level. Just like in Sonic, you want to pick up more rings, I guess.
All right. I'm about to tell y'all something that was really, really dumb that I did back in 1992.
Oh boy. I'm sitting down, so it's okay.
Age before the internet. You know how it was back then. Back before you could just Google it and come back and tell your friend he was full of fucking shit.
Mm-hmm.
There was a thing going on that if you beat every single race on Mario Kart, from 50cc all the way to 100cc, first placing them all, that you would unlock, including Rainbow Road, that you would unlock a golden cart and 150cc difficulty level.
Oh, wow.
And every time I lost a race, every time I was like second place, I was like, reset, start over from 50cc all the way back up.
Wow.
And this took me weeks. I had fucking the skills of a fucking ninja. As I power slid around every corner.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It didn't work.
It didn't work, did it? Nope.
Sitting there, as the thing rolls by and I'm all sad. I'm like, well, guess I'll find something else to do with my life now.
Happened a few times in my life, back before the age of being able to actually debunk something and hearing rumors and fucking April Fool's jokes.
I kind of miss that. I don't miss it, but I kind of miss it.
I got a love-hate relationship.
It's like where, you can't immediately say, oh, no, that's bullshit. Fuck you. Stop lying. The whole, games had this mystique.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because sometimes the rumors turned out to be true, and sometimes they were full of shit.
Yeah, a lot of times.
Like 70, 80% of the time they were full of shit.
Yep.
Sorry, I didn't mean to derail it.
No, it's fine. It adds more stories to the Super Mario Kart legacy as we put it somewhere above or below Sonic the Hedgehog 2.
Above.
Sure.
I'm feeling above as Chris dejectedly gives a sure, and the dreams are dropped down.
I mean, this is definitely a top 5 game. It's bound to determine to become a top 3 here momentarily.
We're about to find out because now it's fighting up against Turtles 4, Turtles in Time. Whoo! Oh boy. Just getting kind of hairy.
Above.
Chris?
Just rip the Band-Aid right off.
I love it. I love this part.
If I'm trying to think if I had them both in front of me now or back then, what would I do? This is actually a tough one.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Because Turtles is so much fun.
Yes.
But so is Mario Kart.
Yep.
I'm not entirely sure which one I would pick up.
So, all right, well, let's fucking haggle this out a little bit. So, they both got good graphics for their respective games.
Sure.
I mean, I think a pretty good argument could be made that in the graphics departments for like Turtles in Time may be like a fucking 4.5 and maybe Kart is like a 4. I mean, they're close, you know. It fits that Mario theme. It has that Mario look to it, and it has enough of that Mario charm to be there. But the style that 4 is aiming for, the 90s cartoon look that they're going for, combined with all the characters they put into it and all the levels that they built around the Turtles, I want to say that in the graphics, they kind of edge it out. Music, I can hum a couple cartoons in my head, but I can hum a lot of Turtles in Time tunes. They're all fast paced. It's like they were wrapped around their individual levels. Like they fit their levels. They're fast paced, and you would figure Mario Kart music would be as well. And Mario Kart music is more tropical, easygoing, snappy beats, I guess you'd say. I think they both fit their games. I just remember more Turtles in Time music in my head. Sure. Single player campaign and multiplayer campaign. The difference is I don't think Mario Kart has a co-op campaign. It's more of a, hey, we're gonna race together. Like it's me and Chris racing, and we're fighting the computer, sure, but at the end of the day, one of us wants to cross that finish line first.
Yeah.
Turtles, you both want to get to, it's co-op. You both, even if you play on the one where you can hit each other, you're gonna want to not do that. You're gonna want to get to the end of the game.
Yeah.
I mean, you can play it where you can damage each other. Just fling your other turtles off the screen.
Yeah. It's hard to talk about the lineage of Turtles versus Mario Kart because this is the 4th Turtles game and this is the first Mario Kart, so I think it's a little bit unfair.
What you see is the end of an era and the beginning of a new one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Adam, what about you? What are you thinking? What are you feeling?
You know, I was leaning towards Mario Kart being higher, but now I've gone back into uncertainty.
I'm kind of weighing out. I'm going to say this again, given everything that Mario Kart is, as Mario now looks down at the ground and takes his hat off and shakes his head, given everything that Mario Kart is, if I had these two games in front of me again right now or back then, I'm gonna go to Turtles 4. I'm going to play through Turtles 4 solo or with somebody. And if I'm playing with somebody, I'm more hyped about if me and Adam are gonna run through Turtles in Time. I'm more hyped about that than him and I racing in a kart against each opponents and then each other. Yeah, the battling each other part's pretty cool, yeah, but it's just there's so much charm to Turtles in Time, man.
It is definitely the A game of the
What
Turtles
were you going to say,
franchise.
Chris?
I was just agreeing that was, certainly agree with that, wanting to co-op instead of head-to-head,
All right.
All right, we're going to finalize it right here?
Are we going to do it? Do we? I'm
Is
good.
this the last piece in the chain right here?
I'm good with Super Mario Kart going below Turtles in Time. Love you, Mario Kart, but now that I've blocked you into that part of the list, I do want you to know I liked your older brother way better. Like I personally have way more life experience with with Mario Kart 64 than I do Super Mario Kart.
Mm-hmm.
Technically, that'd be its little brother.
Yeah, I played a fair amount of Mario Kart. I don't know how many hours I can calculate it up to, but I mean, I played the fuck out of Mario Kart, especially with other people too. 64.
Yeah. I actually skipped 64.
Wow.
Because of that experience I just told you about. I was I'm not even gonna fucking play this bullshit. Fuck this game.
So, ladies and gentlemen of the End of Time cast audience, you have it. Our finalized, debated, haggled over, in stone, till the End of Time list.
Wait, hold
of
up.
1992 video games. Starting at the very bottom, Star Trek, the 25th anniversary, which, true to its point, as Adam said, it was going to be at the bottom, and it has stayed at the bottom.
Yep.
Got beat out by
Best
Streets
Star
of Rage.
Trek licensed property that I can think of for the Nintendo.
Yep. It's probably got more talk on this episode than it will ever get.
Ever again.
Ever again.
Seriously,
followed
play
by
it if you can.
Streets of Rage 2, then Echo the Dolphin, Hugo 3, Jungle of Doom, Hook, Biohazard Battle, Wolfenstein 3D, Mario Paint, Mario Kart, X-Men the arcade game, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Super Mario Kart, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 4, Turtles in Time, and the top 3 is Mega Man 5, Street Fighter 2 Turbo, and the number 1 1992 video game of the End of Time cast is Lunar, the Silver Star.
Right.
Guys, how weird is it that an RPG made our number 1?
Not very.
What?
That biased, though.
Somebody right now is like, these motherfuckers.
I want you to sit here and think about this, but if this was a match in Mario Kart wouldn't have even gotten any points.
Yeah, that is true. It is true.
That's what I was going to say earlier. It's like, yep, you didn't even get points, dog. You done fucked yourself.
So as it has been for every End of Time cast Game of the Year list, we wholeheartedly know that there are many of you out there that will disagree. We get that. The great thing about this is our combined, pretty much, yeah. This is our combined list. This is something that we decide on. And again, we're going to have an episode where we're going to be talking about the top 15 PlayStation games of all time. Those are our individual lists, and those are our personal opinions of what we think are our top 15 of all time. What we like, if you want to tell us how wrong we are, that's fine. You can tell us how your list is better, but that's actually what we want to know. We want to know what your top video game of 1992 is. What are your hand-picked games from 1992? What games from that year do you feel deserve to be at the top? Even if it's not number 1 and you just can't decide, let us know how hard it is for you to decide a top game like that. Or any other topic we talked about today or in the past. Let us know some E3 stuff you might have wanted to talk about. It's a little past that, but not too far, at least as of this recording anyway. Any feedback from you guys and gals, we love to hear from you, and definitely get you a shout out on the podcast for sure. There are many ways to get a hold of us. You can find us on Facebook. Just search for End of Time Cast. It should take you right to us, and it might be how you got to this episode right here. You can send us an email at endoftimecast@gmail.com. That's endoftimecast@gmail.com. No funny spelling of numbers in there. Just as you heard it, that's how you get to our email inbox. We have a Twitter page still. You can still tweet at us. Still haven't had any of those yet. But 3 ways to get a hold of us. We love to hear feedback. We love to hear anything you want to talk about, say, mention. Easiest way to get a hold of us. And I guess it's going to do it, guys. How do you feel after Lunar the Silver Star coming out on top? Just parading over these games.
I'm not mad.
I could not be happier.
And I mean, of all this is like postdoc shit, I know, but I have made it public here that I've played through Lunar a couple times. I beat it one time in high school. I couldn't remember a fucking thing about it. And I tried it recently, like within the last year, and only made it about an hour or two and went, it's just not for me. But if I'm just looking at the top, I can totally understand how somebody would pick Lunar over Street Fighter 2 Turbo. I mean, I totally get that.
Yeah, but like I said, comes down to personal preference. That's obviously we have that RPG slant.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But if you weren't so heavy into RPGs, that gap narrows.
Yeah.
A lot.
And then you'll have your own list. Oh man, I'm sorry, Mortal Kombat. Maybe another time.
Fucking Mortal Kombat got destroyed. What
like,
the hell, dude?
On me?
Hey, middle of the pack isn't bad.
Nope, not at all.
Middle of the top.
Yeah, middle of the top.
Even Star Trek was bottom of the top.
Yeah, fucking Star Trek. I'm sorry, Star Trek 25th anniversary. You got your time today. And it's like, yes! All right. That's it for this episode. And until next time, I'm Michael.
I'm Chris.
And I'm Adam.
Good night, everybody.
Bitches.